Hello, welcome along. It is the traditional post-World Championship Parkcross here in Maldegem today, the next round of the Ethias series. Thanks for joining us here on GCN Racing today. Live action, we have the Elite Women's Race. We have a little bit of halftime entertainment for you, followed by the Elite Men's Race a little bit later on. Don't forget, get involved over on the chat forums. Any questions that you might have for us today. Before we get into today, the Ethias series, though, carries no general classification, but let's have a look back at Breda. Great race we had there in Breda. Sanne Cant taking that one from Anna Kay and Rebecca Farringer. Sanne Cant on the early start list today, but deciding not to take the start. The outgoing world champion is going to seem strange when we see her coming back into racing in the Eco Creelan colours. Let's get into today's action. Jeremy Powers is with me today. Jeremy, welcome back. We've missed you. The Parkcross here in Maldegem, as I said, it's a very traditional post-World Championship race. And a lot of riders, Marianne, Norbert Riberola, for example, are going to be on with massive confidence after their World Championships.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting race. Having done Maldegem several times and living very close to there, just a couple days after the World Championships, where you've given this superhuman effort. The desire to want to be out there racing is one thing that the riders are going to be fighting against, and just the fatigue of such a hard race at the Worlds. So they're coming in. Typically, we get to see a new World Champs jersey or some of this stuff, or a rider that was the World Champion. That's not like last year when we got to see Wout van Aert not in his World Champs jersey. This is always an interesting race and comes in with different levels of excitement, I guess, from the rider side.
Okay, let's have a look at the start list and who we've got in action today. As we said, Sanne Cant has decided not to take the start today, but we've got a fairly who's who at the moment. Annemarie Hurst, of course, is here and riding in this one. Yara Castelline, she had such a great start to the season, didn't she? She's kind of gone off the boil a little bit in terms of, the races that she's done recently. But the Parkcross here in Maldegem is not super technical because she has looked at times to struggle on some of them.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, the Castelline had a huge effort that she got in that middle part of the season, right in November, when she was able to win Koppenberg amongst those other races, European champs. She's been very solid all year, but you're absolutely right. Remember when we were talking to Erwin during the podcast throughout the year, he would say he always felt like Yara Castelline was on a peak at that moment when we were chatting often, and I think that he was right. She was very high, she was really riding really good, but maybe that there's a silver lining here. Maybe she's kind of peaked and she's just looking to take 6-7 wins in February.
Some of those other riders that we saw there on that start list, Shirin van Anrooy, for example, and we're sort of seeing some images of her warming up, being sort of congratulated by Annemarie Hurst, but she's gonna be on a massive high, isn't she? History maker, you would say, Shirin van Anrooy, with that first women's junior cross title at the weekend.
Yeah, it's really, really special to be able to finally have a junior women's race at the World Championships. I remember going to my first one and realizing that there wasn't a junior women's race, and always kind of being a little bit surprised about that. But then, over the years, they're like, oh, there's not enough women racing and this and that. But I think, it's one of those situations where when you build it, they will come. And it's really great to be able to see not just someone like Shirin van Anrooy take the title, but to see how strong she races with the elite women as well. She's a very deserving winner, and she rode a great race there. And I'm sure that she's just elated to be able to be the world champ. Other riders on the start list that I saw, Katie Compton, I think, had a great ride at the World Championships. Also a fellow American that's going to be there racing. Also saw Emily Shields Werner that was out there. So another American that's going to be out there today. So there are a lot of great names on the start list for this one.
Marianne Norbert Rieberoller as well comes into this one as the new under-23 world champion. Fairly historic for France. Great to see France with another world champion. And it kind of, and again, viewers, I apologise if it bores you, but again, it gives you that case that I put forward to Katarina Nash when she asked on Twitter earlier on in the year, what sort of thing do you want to see in cyclocross? And it's seeing these jerseys, isn't it? Being able to see Shirin van Anrooy racing here today in her junior world champs jersey, and Marianne Norbert Rieberoller racing in her under-23 champions jersey. And for me, yeah, I've been boring people for about 10 years on this one, but maybe time for a rule change, because it really we want to celebrate these moments.
Definitely, yeah, and each of those jerseys has a beautiful story behind it. I think that these riders have such great, they each have their own little design and their own little piece of cycling and cyclocross history. It was great to see Rieberoller be able to finally take that win after kind of being in the front group at that French World Cup in Nome, and then having it kind of all go down when she broke that derailleur, and to be able to come back from that and then be able to win the World Championships, man, that was beautiful to see.
For me, you just mentioned Katie Compton. Her ride at the weekend was absolutely phenomenal. Top draw Katie Compton performance, and she promised as well at Nome that you could see that she was coming on to form, and I think that was a great performance by her. This Parkcross though here in Maldegem, it's quite flat, it's fast. Let's have a look at the course route that the riders are going to tackle today. Jeremy, you've ridden this one. Take us through what we can expect.
Yeah, it is very classic, like similarly to an American style course. I would say it's in a park. It's very small. There's some unique off-camber sections. As I remember it, there's some little barriers over by a small water feature. There's two small sand sections, but really it's in this small town of Maldegem. This race is actually, I don't know if it still is run by the municipality that's there, but it starts on the main street in downtown and it finishes in the exact same spot. So there is a double pit, but you do see a lot of the other riders when they're coming by. There's a lot of fast, sharp turns in the woods. It's a very, very fast course, and I remember coming off of Worlds and then thinking like, man, my body just wants to rest, and I probably would go out and go, for a spin today. But weirdly, I'm at the race and I'm going to be going hard. So I think it's one of those things where there's a lot of unique features. Oh, you can see that there is some washboard in there as well. As I look at that, you've got your barriers, you've got your material post, you've got your, you've got your flyovers and all that. So there's definitely no shortage of unique obstacles on this track today.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's one of those ones that is so accessible from where I'm based in the UK that a couple of years ago I just got up early, drove to the Eurotunnel, got on the Eurotunnel. I was literally other side of once I got into across the Eurotunnel. I think it's probably took me about 4 hours driving from home to get to this one. So it's a really good event, and one that I've always really enjoyed. Now we're getting into this final month of the cross season. It's always an emotional moment for me. I never like staring down the barrel of the end of the cross season, but you just touched on it there. Those riders that are coming out of the World Championships, that was going to be a massive peak for so many riders, isn't it? How do you feel trying to raise the level just for these last races, these last weeks? Because there's still some really prestigious races, and the general classifications in DVV and Super Prestige to fight over as well.
Definitely. There's a lot of great racing to still come. These races are taking the riders that are in the overall classifications. These riders are taken serious. These races are taken serious by a lot of riders that have an opportunity to just come in and kind of, hang their hat on a good season. The cyclocross season has got so many races going on. I always say that there's never a bad time to be going good from basically from September until February, till the end of February, because there's a great race that you can win that's got live television coverage, has good prize money, has fans coming out, and all of that. So we've got some big classics to still come. Do things kind of wind down a little bit after the World Championships? Yes, the last championship has now been finished, but there's still these overall titles and some really big races to come, especially if you're hanging out in the Belgium, Netherlands area.
Now, before we get down to the start line, they're giving us some start line pictures. Don't forget to subscribe to GCN Racing. We've hit that magic number, over 100,000 subscribers now. It really has built through the cross season. So don't forget to subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. Just hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon, and you'll be notified every time that we go live or upload a new video. We've got some great stuff coming up this year on GCN Racing through the end of the cross season, all the way through the road season, and then back into the cross season at the back end of the year. So get subscribing. Also, don't forget, give us a thumbs up on our live broadcast as well. Remember, the thumbs up, the subscribes, all helps with that internet jiggery pokery that sometimes I don't quite understand, but it all helps. So get on board with that. We're down here on the start line. You can see Katie Compton in that jersey. Is it Pikes Peak? I think from
it is
the lines on Katie Compton's jersey.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it is basically the geographical like elevation map of the big famous mountain in Colorado that she loves and has driven on with her car. She has a Porsche that she's gotten through a sponsorship, I believe, and it also has a similar wrap that matches that. The car is wrapped. Her jersey obviously has that insignia on it, and then her bike also has that same paint job. So pretty cool, and definitely a nice reminder. I think for her at this point in the season, she's done such a good year to maybe get back home and have some time in that Porsche.
Yeah, it's been a busy season for many riders, and Katie Compton, I think, I feel for me, Jeremy, do you know, I'm going to just stick my neck right out today. I think Katie could be on for a good one today. She's my tip for the day, looking at how she was going in the World Championships.
I like that. Yeah, I think she's definitely on some good form. You know, the thing that we talked about and I talk about often with the riders that are over, the peak age is that it takes a long time to recover. So my sense is that for an older rider, it's going to go one way or the other. So if she's good, she'll be great, and if she's not good, then it might not. So it'll be curious to see how she ends up. And I think Anna Marie Wurz probably doesn't have a lot of things to fry, but I think she's going to be upset with not having taken a jersey this year. There were a lot of great races. She won a lot of World Cups. She hit a lot of her goals, but I think that if she's still got a lot of energy in her legs, she's gonna be out for blood as well. And then also Ellen Van Looy. For her as well, flat, fast, something that she's done many times. So could see something good from Ellen Van Looy.
There's your weather forecast, 9 degrees Celsius. It's got about a 5 km/h north westerly wind, so nothing too much to worry about. It's a little bit cloudy for the riders as they are on the start. Not sure if you're getting the Flemish commentary as well. If you are, then that's just in my ears. They always like to add that into my ears as well, just to confuse me. Manon Bakker wearing 13, number 6 here, Inge van der Heijden. There's Shirin van Anrooy, you can see behind her, and she is going to join this rider, Ellen Van Looy, in that Telenet Baloise Alliance team next winter. They show the Telenet Baloise team saying that Shirin was joining them. Low Cells in the background. Here's Yara Castelline. I know a lot of you big fans of the European champion. Just adjusting her watch. Alicia Frank in the background. Lara Verdonschot here. There's Alicia Frank. You can see as right there. Emily Werner, you can see in that Amy D Foundation kit. Mount Captains, winner in Eeklo behind this rider here, Anna Marie Wurz. And then Annick van Alphen's behind her. There's Katie Compton, big crowd favourite. Katie Compton, Karen Verheystraten there wearing 32. Marianne Norbert Riberola, the new French champion and the new World Under-23 champion. That is going to give her a massive boost of confidence going into the rest of this season. And she, along with Anna Kay, has signed on to continue with that Expersa team. Rebecca Garibaldi, you could see, who's just behind Marianne Norbert Riberola. The riders are ready, watching the lights. Lara Verdonschot is the rider through the centre that has now been awarded the victory from last year. And we are away. It's Verdonschot down the centre of the road. Wurz alongside her. Norbert Riberola in that tricolour jersey of the French champion that gets a great start. She gets the whole shot through the first corner. So Inge van der Heijden well up there as well in the orange. Shirin van Anrooy moves through. Paulina Royacres, you can see, is the other CCC live rider in the orange. Castelline goes left. So does Shirin van Anrooy. But it's Inge van der Heijden that's got the best start here for Norbert Riberola, Verdonschot. Ellen Van Looy, as Jeremy said, on that flat, fast course like this, has got to be a rider that will be well up there. Norbert Riberola, Jeremy, great start by her.
Definitely. She's on some fantastic form. I expect to see her, she's young. She's probably recovered quite well from the effort that she put out over the weekend. And she's also she's had a great year. Like I said, really coming into peak form here from that French World Cup that we saw when she made that front group with the riders. I would expect to see her. She's also going to have a lot of motivation to be able to ride in that French national champs jersey here today in Maldegem.
Inge van der Heijden is the rider, though, that's got the front of the race, and she didn't quite. It wasn't the course for her on Sunday, the World Championship course to defend that title. But sometimes that's the motivation that you need, isn't it? When things don't quite go your way, that is kind of the measure sometimes of a champion on how you recover and how you react.
Definitely. I mean, when I saw her at the Trek World Cup when we were out there, I remember it was really muddy on the World Cup day. In the previous races, it had been drier and faster, and I'd seen her warming up, and she was very excited about the course. I remember seeing a lot of smiles. But then when it turned to mud, I just saw, she was not that excited about it. I think she tends to like the faster courses. Talking about Inge van der Heijden now, tends to like the faster courses. Although we see someone down in the back there. Was that Katie Compton that went down? It was Katie Compton that came down in that sand section in the corner, so she's gonna have a little bit of a mishap here as she gets back on her feet and get going again. But Inge van der Heijden, not a big fan of the super muddy courses from what I've seen from her. I've never asked her that question directly, but I do think today, fast course like this, hitting those ruts, really riding this section, it's good to see her up at the front making a stab at this race here today.
Nice satin section there. Van der Heijden is kicking on at the front. Ellen van Looy behind her. Ellen van Looy seemed she was really happy with her top 10 place in the Worlds at the weekend.
Yeah, she definitely has to be happy for that. I mean, she's been a rider that's been so consistent. She's so often at the front. She's always repping the Belawaza Lions team, and she's made she's made quite a name for herself over the years and endeared the public with her, not just her results, but also with what she balances in her life as well as as a teacher over the years and as just a big cyclocross name in the sport. Yeah, and she's just got a great head on her shoulders. Having seen her at the races over the years, she's always smiling, and she's always a rider that's got very outgoing, front-facing, and fun attitude.
Through the washboard section, we love these sections in cyclocross. There's Alicia Frank going through, Karen Verheestrat and Katie Compton goes through, Betsema ahead of Captains, and then Bakker. The next rider through, Marta Troyan, going through next. And watch out for as well, you've got Pauline Warwick is 22, Ishbel Strathty is wearing 24 for British fans from the Edinburgh Road Club. Behind her, we've also got Laura Greenhouse, is the other British rider from the Imperial Racing Team. She is wearing 34, so watch out, British fans, for them. Garibaldi, as I said, the Italian rider, is wearing 26. So looking down through our various nations that I know are normally checking into the mud, and you've just got the start now, just a little gap now opening to Marianne Norbert Riberola, but it's still Inge van der Heijden that's got the front here from Van Looy, Hurst and Van Anrooy, the Team 185 rider, the new junior world champion. Great to be able to say that, and she will really benefit, won't she, Jeremy, from not only the experience of Sven Nys, the team owner, but being able to do those course rides with Ellen van Looy and Lucinda Brand, because that in itself is worth its weight in gold.
Absolutely, yeah. When you come into a new program, having that expertise and that experience from the riders that you're looking at, you've been looking up to for so long, all of that new energy, that positivity, that professionalism, and the high-end equipment. I'm sure that she's got a great, group of people, her tribe that she rolls with that really help her out, week in and week out. But genuinely, being a part of a bigger program was what personally, for me, launched my career. It made me have a really good weekend every single time I showed up to a race. I always had that high level of support, and and I think that's what she's going to come into, and she's going to really feel that extra energy. But you can see now it's Anna Marie Work that's going to bend the tape, Marty. She looks just really good on this course. Definitely got the right tire pressure in there. She feels like she's got a good opportunity to maybe open this up here only 6 minutes into this park cross here in Maldegem.
Really attacking this one. Norbert Riberola just trying to cling on to the back of that group. And these bridges, they're getting pretty steep. Beth Crumpton, I was chatting to Beth Crumpton a little bit earlier on, and some of these bridges, she was saying the bridges at the World Championships, some of them were so steep that some riders were struggling to get up them at times. They do look like they're getting higher and steeper.
Yeah, I mean, the organizers have to come up with creative ways to make the courses longer. You know, sometimes once they design a course, they lay it out, right? And then they think, okay, yeah, this is going to be an 8-minute lap. But then the riders show up and it's, you know, it's a 6.5-minute lap. And they're like, oh, gosh, all right, well, what are we going to do? We know what to do, put in more bridges. so it's kind of one of those things where, like, we showed up to the Zolder World Championships in 2016, and on an already intensely, infamously hard track, all of a sudden I get there and there's this ramp that's been installed that essentially makes the climb that you go up on the top furthest part of the course, it makes it even longer. And you're thinking, man, in what world did we need a harder, you know, Zolder World Championships course? Because the course that was here already was so difficult. But the Belgians, you know, they really wanted to make the World Championship special, and they really wanted to and try to make it something that was even harder than it was. As we see here down in the bottom right corner, we can't hear, but it's Bart Wellens. So we did a feature on him following around his team, the 777.be or 777.be program, the women's program. Bart runs that as a former 2-time world champion and Belgian champion. He definitely knows his way around. It was a fun piece. If you guys haven't seen that, it's over on GCN. You should check it out.
I'll check with Sid if we're getting the audio on Bart's interview. So that was Bart Wellens. So I'll just let you know that we are getting the audio on the interview. Sometimes they come in, sometimes they don't. So we'll let them run for all of you Flemish speakers, or if we have a Dutch speaker on there or a French speaker, we'll leave them running. Jara Castellijn, Shirin van Anrooy, Inge van der Heijden going through, but Annemarie Hurst here is your leader going through that little roundabout section, and Hurst has got the front of the race. What a great season she is having, along with that rider behind her. Shirin from Team 185 is well up there, and you'll remember back to that heartbreaking moment on our night race and earlier in the year when she didn't have the bikes in the pits. 8:25 is your opener in that little loop. So Annemarie Hurst goes through, followed by Jara Castellijn at 8 seconds, Van Anrooy, Van der Heijden, then Van Looy, then Verdonschot. Here's Jara.
Kan jij dan nog opladen voor vandaag?
Ja, ik heb de laatste dagen wel rustig aangedaan, maar ik merk gewoon dat mijn lichaam wel een beetje toe is aan het einde van het seizoen. Maar er zijn nog 7 mooie wedstrijden. Dus,
Een van die wedstrijden is vandaag. Hè. Wat verwacht je ervan?
Ik hoop een spannende strijd samen met Annemarie. Dus ik denk dat Denise ook wel weer terug goed gaat zijn, dus ik ben benieuwd.
That was Jara Castellijn, Annemarie Hurst on the front. But look at this, Shirin van Anrooy dragging this group back up to our leader, the young junior world champion, is chasing down Annemarie. That looked like an attack that was going to stick there, but the confidence boost from our young junior behind her. And I think, Jeremy, when you look at teams like Telenet investing in talent like Shirin, she's such a multi-discipline champion. She's a phenomenal time trialist on the road, European junior champion, medalist at the World Champs in Yorkshire, the rider there in white wearing number 14. And she is a phenomenal talent for the future. And I think that gave her a real advantage, didn't it, when she went into that race on Saturday. And she'd been racing with the likes of Annemarie and competing with them, not just being in the same race, but being up there in this sort of position throughout the course of this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary to think about, isn't it? So young, so fast, such at the front, you know, just an intense amount of experience at such a young age. And so, you know, I think when you are green to something, you know, and you're young, you try things, and here you see Annemarie Hurst struggling with that sand pit is very challenging here. That sand, I can tell you from personal experience, is very deep, and it's I believe it's it's either added to a man-made sand pit that's already there in existence, and then they add some sand on top. But I do remember that as being quite hard from the time that I raced there. But yeah, but getting back to it, I mean, I think that there's so many opportunities for these riders to now race and to have this experience with these top riders. The point they're not their idols anymore. They're their competitors, and they have to study them just like they would any of their other people that they're racing against, and learn and grow from it. And I think that that's the beauty of the sport, kind of leveling up. You know, there's a lot of riders that they can look up to. There's a top, and then it's for these next riders like Sharon to be able to come up, to be able to push the bar up and continue to raise the level for everyone, not just themselves.
Welcome along lap 2. If you're just getting on board here, so this is the Ethias cross. Oh, Van Anrooy goes down on the corner. So it looks like Yara Castelline has gone down on the corner. Saddle twisted for Van Anrooy, and she has gone down, and she's gone down heavy. Castelline, is it Yara Castelline's bike that's down there? Shirin Van Anrooy has gone down quite heavy here on that section. What a shame for the young junior. And looks like she's just taking a while to jump straight up, but now starting to feel the effects of that one. She's got to straighten up the saddle. And the other bike there, so Athletes for Hope is the team of Shirin Van Anrooy. So we'll have a look at the front and see how that's affected things. What a shame for the junior world champion. Annemarie Hurst is right on the front here for 777. She is now leading again. That attack she put in was pulled back. So thanks to all of you for getting on board on the chat over on YouTube and on Facebook. Remember, just put your name and where you're from. And if you've got any questions that are relevant to the race, chuck them in there. If you've got any questions that I see that we can put in at halftime, we can put those to Jeremy a little bit later on. Shirin just got to straighten up the bars here, straighten up that brake lever, and looks like her day might be done today. What a shame. Big shame for the junior world champion. Really feel for her, and it is the European champion that has disappeared out of this group. It's Van Looy, Betsema, Inge van der Heijden is right there. And the 777 rider kicking on at the front. And so Rudy Chalmé checking in. Thanks for getting on board. Frode Berterson saying hi. Romeo Hashka, thanks for getting on board. John McCarthy is there as well. Thanks for getting on board, all of you. Bit of a gap back to the next riders here on the group. Matteo De Paoli, thanks for saying hi. Carl Roach is also in there. Ricardo Panavello, thanks for saying hi. Richard Mass. We'll pass a few hours at work for Richard Mass. I like that. Richard, put your headphones in. Turn your screen away from anyone that can see that, and that's good. Good to know that you're all getting on board today here on GCN Racing. It's Wednesday. What else is there to do on a Wednesday apart from watch some cyclo-cross? Your leader, Annemarie Hurst, leads on. Ellen Van Looy, she leads that chasing group. Inge van der Heijden comes through. Laura Verdonschot, Katie Compton and Marianne Norbert Riberola. Still the gap's fairly small. There's the bike there of the European champion, Yara Castelline. We're just seeing that front wheel of the bike. Annemarie, you can see just glancing across. That looked like a pretty heavy tumble there, so the luck not quite in it for those riders. Jeremy, what in terms of tyres, tyre choice, tyre pressure today?
Well, one of the things that I saw at the start line was from Helen Wyman and also Katie Compton, riding the reinforced latex sidewalls on these on their tires today. You know, being such a fast course where they're leaning on the bike a lot, you're seeing that you see that they run these stiffer tires. Ooh, here we go again, Katie Compton. Like I said, Marty, this sandpit is known to be like this. It's really deep, very undulating underneath it. So you have yourself set up in one way, but we've seen just about every rider have a problem with this. Yara Castelline not even taking a stab at it, just running the entire thing. We've seen Katie Compton go down twice now in it. Annemarie Hurst also having a problem there getting through it last lap. So yeah, these sandpits are definitely hard on the legs, but I was talking about tires, and it is unique blend of need here today. As you can see, some of the riders in the start line were running those bright red tires. So some reinforced extra stiff sidewalls to be able to get through this one because of the fast, sharp turns that they face. They want a little bit more stability in the turns, so they're not just running their traditional cotton sidewall tires today.
So there's you going through. So Van der Heijden, Van Looy, Verdonschot, Compton, Norbert Rieberola, Bakker, Frank is going through in 9th place. There's Laura Verdonschot, lap 3 of 6 we are on now. And these deep sand sections. Marianne, Norbert Rieberola with Manon Bakker from Experza right behind her. Annemarie Worst running through that section. And they have varied this course a little bit this year. There's Shirin van Anrooij, unfortunately, into the pits, upsetting for the Junior World's champion. Has gone down pretty heavy. The first aid straight with her, which is good to see. If you're not familiar with the format here on GCN Racing, we have the Elite Women's Race live, and we have a little bit of halftime entertainment, usually some of Jeremy's great cyclocross content that he goes out and makes, and then the men's race is on the hour, so 2 o'clock in the UK, that's 3 o'clock in Europe, and I won't attempt to go all the way around the world to try and give you that, but it's usually about a 30-minute break or so between the end of this one and the beginning of the next one. Into the washboard section. This rider here in second took this race last year, of course stripped of that after a doping positive, and that victory given to Laura Verdonschot. She's back here, she's racing. The history of this race, Sanne Cant back in 2015 when it started for the Elite Women. She took it again in 2016. Back-to-back victories for Marianne Vos, 2017 and 2018. And we'll see who is going to take it this time around. The way the top 10 went last year, give you an idea of how the riders handle this one. So Verdonschot from Horst, Castellino, Zufi was up there in 4th. Sanne Cant, Katie Compton, Van Looy, Farringer, Bakker and Hussen are the riders. Let's hear, I'll let you hear what Denise Betsema has to say.
Aan de andere kant, ja, ik mis het wedstrijdritme op het moment. Hè. Dus dat is in mijn nadeel, maar we gaan zien hoe het uitpakt.
Ja, goed, voor het WK was je meteen al tweede bij je comeback. Dat doet ook het beste verhopen voor vandaag?
Sorry,
Doe dat ook het beste verhopen voor vandaag, dat je bij je comeback al meteen tweede was?
Ja, dat deed me heel goed natuurlijk. Maar ik weet wel dat vandaag is een lastig parcours om van achter te komen. Het is wat smaller dan vorige week. Dus ja, het zal wel heel moeilijk worden. En ja, ik hoop natuurlijk zeker op net zo'n resultaat.
Annemarie, so absolutely devastated by missing out on that world title at the weekend. Van der Heijden and Van Looy are sitting in 3rd and 4th here as they go through this fast twisting section. Lap 3 of 6. Thanks to all of you for getting on board. Patrick Clifford watching from Killarney and Kerry. Thanks for saying hi. And Richard Nemo Bloomfield also on board. John McCarthy asking if we are going to do any more podcasts. You never know. We'll ask the powers that be at some point. We loved doing that on a Monday, didn't we, Jeremy?
Yeah, we did. We that was always a quick turn of events there to be able to get those podcasts out. Super fun though, and I hope that we are able to bring those back. Those were a lot of fun stories, and I know that Marty and I both really enjoyed being able to put those together for you guys, as well as all of the team behind the scenes, our friends at GCN. As we're hearing now, looks like Shirin van Anrooij talking about her injury there down in the bottom corner of the screen.
Ja, want komen ze tussen aan en dan sta ik liever dan de start in dit in plaats van nu niet in
Shirin van Anrooij there, the rider has unfortunately taken a tumble. We haven't had any updates on Yara Castelline that also went down. If we get any of those, then we will, of course, bring them to you. We never speculate. Head of the race, Horst, Van Looy, Van der Heijden and Betsema. That is the order at this stage. Good to see Ellen Van Looy from Telenet Bauwaz Lions well up there as they go through this fast section through here. Horst now dives up the right-hand side of that one, tries to force her way back through towards the front. Fast run in to the planks here, and everyone off and running those. They look, again, they look pretty high, the planks today, these ones.
Yeah, and I can see that they've got a buffer on top of them. You know, they've got like something there to really soften them up so that they're not a sharp edge. It'd be interesting to see how the men do. They're off camber a little bit, so they look like they're not even on both sides. So it'll be interesting to see how the front runners and the men's side decide to tackle or not on those. But here we see Denise Betsema here making the front group. You know, not racing the World Championships, coming back from that doping ban. I think it'd be interesting to see how she's received in the peloton. It was definitely mixed reviews when I was looking on social. A lot of fans, at least on the American side, not that excited to see her come back with such a lenient suspension. I guess, you know, typically you'd see a 2-year suspension, but we see her coming right back after basically the UCI just said, like, yeah, you know, she took a tainted supplement and she's back on it. You know, everything's kind of retrospectively going. So this is the first time that I'm calling a race with seeing her back at the front, and it's a little bit interesting just to see kind of her body language. She does look like she just hasn't been quite in the racing. You know, there's definitely a bit of lack of race fitness here. I can see the way that she's turning some of the other girls that have been racing all season long. There's just a bit of I would say freshness, snap, and not the fluidity that the other riders have. So it'll be interesting to see as this race plays out. You know, if she has it in these last laps, she definitely looks like she's got a she's got the power, as you see here. Anna Marie Worst definitely taking the bull by the horns, as we say, with Betsema behind her, Inge van der Heijden, and then Ellen Van Looy making the front group, and then Katie Compton coming back from those early lap mishaps, those falls in the sand, to be able to come back to that front group. If she reconnects, that'll be interesting. Then you see last year's winner Laura Verdonschot there coming back in with Rivarola right behind her, and it looks to be Manon Backer just behind her.
Mount Captains just going through here. Mount Captains, the winner, as we said a little bit earlier on, in Eco, way back at the beginning of the season. Low sales, had a few health problems. The Eco Karelan rider you just saw go through the line before we flash back to our leaders. But Captains took him from Van der Heijden in K and Eco. We then went on to Molenbeek. It was Alvarado from Horst and Van der Heijden there. Then we moved to Kruijbeke, and it was Horst from Castelline and Alvarado. We never want to see a rider like this. And then Berringen, it was Horst, Hooker and Compton. So we wish Yara Castelline well. She's getting the medical attention that she needs. So get any updates afterwards, then we will bring them to you on the weekend. But never want to see that, and we hope Yara is okay. Our leading quartet, Horst, battling through to the front at every opportunity into the washboard section for the 777 rider. We are on lap 4 of 6. As Betsema again tries to find her way up towards the front. She seems, as you say, Jeremy, like she's lacking that rhythm. Sometimes that's what can be a little bit off your eye, the way the sensations on the course, which is why maybe she's trying to force her way through towards the front all the time, because she's when you're on that front through certain sections, you're dictating to everyone else. If you haven't quite got the corner or the eye or the fluidity in your riding, and you make a mistake, then everyone behind you is forced to make that similar mistake in a way. They're all going to be delayed, which is why I think you can see constantly as well Anna Marie Horst is battling up towards the front.
Yeah, I think just at speed. I think that she just doesn't have the speed that the other riders do. I mean, it's not that she won this race last year. You know, a year ago, it was almost the last time that we saw her. So she's been practically out of it for about a year. She's done a couple of races before Worlds, but she hasn't been part of the World Championship team. She hasn't been part of the World Cup team. She's been left off of the national teams. You know, rightfully so. She just wasn't enough time, and she was also under suspicion and a ban, and there's all this kind of cloudiness around what's going on with Betsema. So now, but she's back. She's kind of finding this race rhythm, this tempo, this ability to move the bike, the way that the clothing feels. I mean, there's just so many little things. She's basically starting. These are her preseason races essentially. She's getting back going. This is September for her right now, so she's very fresh, coming back into it with almost no races. But again, you can't take away the races that you can take away, but you cannot take away the experience that she has in the races that she won last year, as well as this race. So we know that she's a capable rider. We know that she has the fitness in theory to be able to do well at these races. So it'll be interesting to see again how this race plays out over the next 20 minutes, to be able to see if she's able to continue to ride the front of this, have the confidence and the ability to be able to take this win away from a big name like Annemarie Worst, Inge van der Heijden, and Ellen van Looy. So this is going to be an interesting one to call, Marty.
It is indeed. Beringen, the Bredener, rather the last round. We had some highlights coming into this one. Sanne Cant from Anneke Farringer, Herke Sels, Robert Ribalola, Kata Vass for Haystrot, and Richards and Van der Beeken was the last round. The Ethias series, though, carries no general classification. It's all individual races. Who is going to take this one? There is a lot of prestige in this Maldegem race. That sort of traditional spot that it's got on the Wednesday after the World Championships. And these riders here, Annemarie coming out having built up to that objective, Inge van der Heijden behind her, Ellen van Looy behind her. These are the races with the changes to the World Cup program. These are the races that will, in essence and potentially, maybe find themselves elevated even more, these weekday races.
Definitely. I mean, with such a heavy schedule, I think that there is an opportunity now for these smaller races to have a bit more of a appeal to a local audience. As the sport levels up, the traditions of Belgium cyclocross, I think, continue. And coming out on a Wednesday, or during a holiday, like a race like Niel or a race like the Koppenberg, during these holiday races, they're really excited to come out for a Belgian and just watch something come to their hometown. It's like having it'd be like for an American or for another person having the biggest sport in their country come to their hometown and all the best people showing up to play it in front of them. And so that's what these races represent to them. And I think that that's really special. And having been a part of these races and going out, I know that the locals come out and they support the riders and they're really excited to have them. It's just a fun way to be able to kind of get on with it right after the World Championships, because there can be a lull. And I think that at some point some Belgian was like, wow, it's hard after the World, so we just put a race on. And then all of a sudden they've got a race on a Wednesday in Maldegem.
There's Laura Verdonschot from Poel Sausen. Katie Compton looks like she might, little by little, just be closing that gap down. Jeremy, this is sort of very Katie Compton kind of territory now. The way she's just closing and clawing her way back up to this front group.
Had to get the glow plugs on the diesel engine warmed up, but now they're warmed up, and Katie Compton is on her way back to the front. She's going to link up with these four, and then we're going to have a real race at the front with all of these riders with so many great palmares. Each of them has huge victories to their name. So now that Katie Compton's coming back through, you can see how deep that sand section is, but she's focused, she's locked and loaded, she's got a good head on her shoulders from all of the success she's had this year. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets a bit between her teeth and she smells a victory that's possible here, Marty.
If I predict that Katie Compton gets a victory today, I'll be super happy about that one.
What does that mean? Do you go buy a lottery ticket after this, or what?
Yeah. Dan will buy me a beer or something, I think, if I get that one. Here comes Annemarie Worst going through into lap 5 now here in the Parkcross here in Maldegem. Worst leads Van der Heijden, Van Looy, Betsema with Compton. It's little by little now, Katie Compton, the American, just closing that gap down, and she is back to 7 seconds. This is closable now for Katie Compton. Laura Verdonschot out of that bottom corner with Mal Captains not far behind her. Annemarie Worst has got the sand section nailed this time. Can Compton do the same? Hasn't looked comfortable in the sand. There goes Verdonschot ahead of Captains. Bakker and Norbert Rieberola is the next riders through. Norbert Rieberola just kicking the sand out of the pedals. Maybe a little bit of fatigue after the World Championship. The travel involved as well through that one. Laura kicking on here for Poel Sausen. Bingo. Good to see Manon Bakker up here as well. for the Expersa team. There's Alicia Frank. She rounds out your top 10 with low sales here in 11th for Eco Creelan. So the cousin of Sanne Cant goes through back to the head of the race. And it's Annemarie Quirst, Inge van der Heijden behind her. I'm glad to see Inge van der Heijden up here and riding so well today for CCC Live. Jeremy, sometimes there's that for someone like Inge van der Heijden here in the orange, there's sometimes when you've been you're the under 23 world champion, even if you're not getting to wear that jersey week in, week out, there's that associated pressure that you put on yourself to perform each week. And sometimes the pressure can just flow off your shoulders, and sometimes it can just free up your legs again. And we'll just hear from Gianni Meersman at the bottom. We'll come back to that.
De manier waarop ze terug zo snel vooraan komt postvatten is indrukwekkend. Het is ook een parcours die haar ligt, zeker meer dan Zonnebeke, een harde ondergrond. Dat is wel iets dat haar aanspreekt.
Het is nog maar haar tweede cross na haar lange schorsing. Hoe straf is het dat ze hier meteen vooraan meedraait?
Ja, enorm straf. Het deelnemersveld hier is toch wel indrukwekkender dan in Zonnebeke. Ze doet toch meteen mee, ze rijdt ook op kop en ja, hopelijk op een spannende finale.
Wat denk je? Kans op de overwinning?
Ik denk het wel, ja. Maar dan moet ze zeker de zandbak na de balken moet ze zeker vooraan in de eerste 2 postvatten. Anders is het een verloren situatie.
Dat is genoteerd. Dankjewel, Gianni.
Yeah, well, that's Gianni Meersman, the one of the directors over at the Marlux program. So yeah, it's that's the team director of Denise Betsema, as well as some of the other big riders here in the sport. So yeah, good to hear from him. Former Belgian pro, raced for Discovery as well as Quick Step. So he definitely knows his way around the cycling races. Yeah, haven't actually done a few races with him myself over the years on the road. But yeah, getting back to your questions, Marty, about the pressure of being a world champion at the under 23 level. You know, I think that for all these riders, there's a lot of pressure at every time they line up. I think that, you know, she probably looks at that more as an elation to be able to have had that jersey. But definitely there's a level that she probably expects from herself to be able to get up every morning, to be able to feel like, you know, she is a world champion. And I think not pretend like she's not. She's now a former world champion, which so few riders and people get to say. So she was the best on the day at the World Championships, and that's something that she'll always be proud of. And I actually think it will help a lot more down the road than it will hurt, because there's just a lot of pride that comes with having a jersey, whether it's a national champion, a European, or a Pan American. There's just so much pride in winning one of those and being and having a special day and a great set of legs on the day to be able to pull it off. So I'm sure that she brings a lot of pride and a lot of confidence to each of the races that she goes to.
And another former world under-23 champion in front of her, Annemarie Quirst. And out of this group, you would say, sprint-wise, Annemarie Quirst has definitely got the best kick out of this group here. She would fancy her chances in a group sprint from this, but you can see all the time, as Jeremy says, she's bending the tape, she's pushing the course to its limit, bending those barriers is Annemarie Quirst here for 777. Just looking to bounce back. The last part of the cyclo-cross season. We're into February, ends this month as the cyclo-cross season. We just coming up this week. Set your reminders, set your diaries, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have the DVV Trophy from Lille on Saturday. We then have the Super Prestige from Hoogstraten on Sunday. Jeremy and I will be with you for both of those races. So a lot of excitement surrounding those. This is the Ethias cross, and quite a lot of discussion on the chat with the changes to the cross program. You've got to hope that series like Ethias find their way to survive.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot that's going on. We've been hearing rumors about this for a long time. There's a lot of, I hate to say, infighting in the Belgian side. There's a lot of people that were upset about these changes that were proposed by the UCI at first with the World Cup. I think the riders, it's going to come down to a financial opportunity for them. You know, there's got to be a lot of money exchanging hands for them to be able to prioritize the World Cup over a DVV or a Super Prestige. As we see there, one of the Pinarello cyclocross bikes underneath that rider, and how deep this sand is. But I think overall, Marty, there's the UCI, you know, for as many things as people say about them, and for the organization that they've kind of made themselves, it's a tough predicament. You know, do they try to come in and make a big series so that they can be the place where people look for content and they have something that they own and that they brand and that they market full time, or is it or do they leave it up to the individual promoters? I think that they've kind of balanced it out. They've really thrown down their hand and said, hey, we want to have a big series here. We want to have, you know, 14 races internationally and continue to grow our stake in cyclocross. Oh, as we see Betsema now having trouble with the sand. Every rider has had a trouble with this sand section, but that's going to be a gap at a time in the race, Marty, that's not full for Betsema as she gets back on here and as she makes her comeback from that doping ban. So overall, though, I think that there is I think that there's a good opportunity for the World Cup to be successful, but it will only know once things happen, as things get kicked off next year.
As Betsema gets kicked off through the sand, Worst here, Annemarie Worst just kicks on at the front. Will this be the attack now from this rider? For me, arguably the rider of the season as these riders, Inge van der Heijden and Annemarie Worst, attack through the line. 1 lap to go. Will it be 777? Will it be CCC Live? There's a gap back now to Betsema. Van Looy with Compton still within striking distance. Jeremy, I don't know if you'll agree, but Annemarie Worst at the front has got to be the rider of the season. When you look at the season that she has had, second in Oostmalle, second in Molenbeek, first in Kruijbeek, first in Bern, first in Beringen. She had podiums in Koppenberg at the European. She took a bronze, wins in Tabor at the World Cup, then to the Flandrian Cross, which she took third in Kortrijk, first in Zonhoven, second in the GP Mario de Klerk. She won in Overijse, she won in Diegem, she won the World Cup in Nome. If you look through the season, second at the World Championships, she's virtually not been off the podium this season, this rider.
No, super solid. I mean, super solid. She's got a great, you know, if you haven't seen it yet, we did a profile with Annemarie Worst at her home. We hung out. Her dad was there. Her family was there. We got to really spend an entire day with her. My videographer and creator and I just hung out, got to know her, go training with her, and it was just great to be able to spend that time and to just see how solid a human being she is, but also as a bike racer, how seriously she takes it, and kind of her style and the intensity that she brings to it is awesome. She lives for it. So it's not surprising to see someone that's got the talent that Annemarie does, you know, to see the results that she's had. Under 23 women's world champion, you know, winner of multiple World Cups this season alone, to see that she's at the top of the leaderboards in just about every classification, and she shows up to every race week in and week out. I mean, if you own a team or if you're a fan of the sport, there's not a lot to say about Annemarie Worst other than that she's one of the greats so far.
Annemarie Worst has opened up a decent gap now on this final lap here in the Parkcross in Maldegem. Thanks for getting on board here on GCN Racing today. Betsema and Van Looy locked in the battle for that third spot on the podium. Will it go to the Paalsausen rider? Will it go to the Telenet Balwaza rider? But this rider here at the head of the race, Annemarie Worst, looks like she's heading for yet another victory this season. And a really solid performance today from Inge van der Heijden, riding through here in second place, the 20-year-old rider from the Netherlands. And she's the national under-23 champion in the Netherlands as well. And she's had a solid season, plenty of podiums so far this year. But Annemarie Worst looking to finish off this year's cyclo-cross season on a real high with yet another victory today. And big news that was announced as well, Jeremy, that the Roodhoff brothers are putting a road team together that includes Celine Alvarado, Annemarie Worst and Yara Castellan. That's a massive bit of news as well.
Absolutely. It's going to be good for them, you know, to be able to stay together for the road season, to have those opportunities out there, to be able to get those trainings in and kind of do it on their own cyclocross schedule where they're really kind of focused on, you know, May, June, July as being the weeks that they need some heavy racing. I know Annemarie was telling us that she was doing a lot of mountain bike racing last year, as was Alvarado. But I think that these riders are going to definitely benefit from some big stage races in their legs. And I expect that they'll do some damage, Marty.
They will indeed. So since the turn of 2020, Podium in Basel in third spots, 4 seconds place, including last week's World Championship win in the World Cup in Nome, and it's going to be her second victory of this year, not her first victory of this season by any means. Such a popular rider is Anne-Marie Hurst here from 777. An absolutely phenomenal performance from her. Didn't need a second invitation when she heard those riders having problems behind her. And now kicking on this final lap. And Inge van der Heijden here from CCC Live. It was good to see her team leader, Marianne Vos, out on that elliptico bike on her vacation, recovering from her operation. And this rider here for Paul Bingold, Denise Betsema, is in third. Can Van Looy get up to her? Katie Compton just comes out of that turn in the blue there for Team Trek. Just over 40 minutes of racing so far. Anne-Marie Hurst, another top draw performance.
Absolutely, yeah. She's just got the explosivity there at the end. She's able to get out of those turns and really, just put all the power into the pedals. Especially, it's a big task after, you think she just raced at 110% of her ability at the World Championships. Obviously devastated to not take that win. I can't imagine what that feels like. Actually, I can't imagine what it feels like. It's brutal to want to win so badly and then to come away and be so close to it and then watch someone else pull that jersey on, especially at the World Championship level, is brutal. But she's a true champ. She's gotten right back out here on Wednesday to put the show on, as it must go on. And to just keep moving. There will be another opportunity. There will be another chance for her to show her strengths at another World Championships down the line.
Really attacking after the planks there. Inge van der Heijden wants to make sure of this second spot on the podium, as Anne-Marie Hurst is just about to come up and lap a rider just in front of her. As just not far away now, this park cross here in Maldegem, one of the biggest party atmospheres I think I've seen at a cyclocross. Afterwards, they have a DJ and a party tent, as all the cyclocross courses do, and it was loud when I went over for that one. And here she comes through this sand section, and party's on today for Anne-Marie.
I know. I'm just thinking about if I'm just there as a spectator and I see Marty from GCN kind of with his Fritz in this one hand with a beer in the other, just kind of pumping it up in the DJ tent, how that would feel. We're seeing now Anne-Marie Hurst come through this sandy section. Now, you wouldn't think it doesn't look that bad, but you got to imagine there's only one line through there. That's all sand. As she comes into this steep off-camber section, undulating and making her way to the finish. You're hearing the crowd clapping as she comes in for the finish here. She's going to be happy to take this one, Marty.
Anne-Marie Hurst sits up. Another victory for the 777 rider. Bounces back from that disappointment of the World Championships. Salutes the crowd. Another phenomenal performance from this rider today. It's going to be second for Inge van der Heijden from CCC Live. She crosses the line there in second spot. It's going to be a podium for Denise Betsema ahead of Ellen van Looy. And then Katie Compton, did they just Ellen van Looy, Katie Compton almost nicked that one on the line there. As Anne-Marie Hurst just gets herself sorted for the podium. Here's Manon Bakker. She's going to come in for 6th, so a solid day today for Manon Bakker. Mout captains just behind her. Good to see Mout climbing the top 10. Again, she had a good start to the season. And we'll see who the next riders to come in. As Verdonschott is the next rider, with Marianne Norbert Riberola just behind her. Marianne, so Riberola just behind. So the French champion, great to see the French champion's jersey in here, taking that one from Caroline Manny. So that's 9 by my accounts. And there's Alicia Frank, also from Experza. So Frank rounds out the top 10, just ahead of Lowe's Sales. And Annick van Alphen is going to come in next. Good to see Annick just getting up here again. So Van Alphen, we didn't see if she was bunny hopping the barriers today, Annick van Alphen.
We did not. But there you can see that is actually Anne-Marie Worth's mother there, who I was talking about earlier. She goes to all of the races with her. Her father's there as well, but Anne-Marie's mom is the finish line. She always got a protein shake and everything like that. As you can see, everybody's kind of happy that one's over with. 44 minutes of racing, only 48 hours after the World Championships. I'm sure that everybody's, before they start traveling, getting themselves out here, I'm sure everybody's happy that this one's in the books and they can look forward to the weekend.
So Rebecca Garibaldi just ahead here of Joyce van der Beeken. You can see former Belgian champion, so that's going to be 13th for her. Paulina Royakers just coming out of that bottom corner. So Paulina Royakers, teammate of Inge van der Heijden, is here, and we'll let you, I think we're going to get an interview.
Een heel klein beetje.
Ja,
je wordt natuurlijk heel wat anders en je kan het totaal niet vergelijken, maar het is wel fijn om toch weer een keertje te winnen en toch wel lekker, dat geeft wel een fijn gevoel.
Ja, ik zie het doet zichtbaar deugd. Werd het verschil gemaakt in de zandbak daar in de voorlaatste ronde?
Nou ja, ik merkte op een gegeven moment, ik reed door het zand, ik merkte dat ik een gaatje had en ik denk dat daar inderdaad verschil gemaakt. Ik weet niet totaal wat achter me gebeurde, maar inderdaad, ik voelde dat ik een gaatje had en toen dacht ik nog 1 rondje. Wil je gewoon doortrekken en dat lukte.
Hij was veruit de beste in koers. Hoeveel vertrouwen geeft dat nu nog met het seizoenseinde dat eraan komt?
Ja, natuurlijk geef wat vertrouwen. Ik wist natuurlijk dat de vorm goed is, dat is niet logisch na vorige week. Mijn vorm is gewoon goed, dus ja, mijn vertrouwen is nooit weg geweest. Dus.
Goed, perfect. Dankjewel. We gaan meteen door naar nummer 2 van vandaag. Dat is Inge van der Heijden. Inge van der Heijden, proficiat, tweede plaats. Was dat het hoogst haalbare vandaag?
Ja, dat denk ik wel. Het was zeker wel een moeilijke strijd tegen elkaar. Ik kon heel lastig wegkomen. Heel veel draaien en keren. En de zandpassages waren toch wel momenten waar je goed op moest letten. Ja, ik denk dat Annemarie vandaag wel de sterkste was. Dus verdiende winnaar.
Je was de sterkste, maar goed, langs de andere kant kan je meer dan tevreden zijn, hè?
Ja, afgelopen weekend was het al erg zwaar. We waren redelijk laat thuis en dan is woensdag het ook best wel weer kort dag. Maar ja, leuk om hier op het podium te staan.
Goed, dikke proficiat Inge van der Heijden. We kunnen ook meteen door naar nummer 3 van vandaag. Denise Betsema. Denise, vertel eens, was het een zware wedstrijd vandaag? Ik zag dat je toch redelijk kapot was toen je hier over de meet kwam, hè?
Ja, dat klopt. Ja, het was heel zwaar. Ik moest van achter komen. Dus dan is die eerste ronde over rondes. Het zijn echt zware inhaalrondes. Maar ja, tussendoor gelukkig wel wat kunnen bijkomen. Maar ik maakte de ene laatste ronde een fout in het zand. Waardoor ik van de fiets af moest. En ja, om dat toen nog dicht te rijden, dat lukte gewoon niet. Dus ik ben heel blij met deze 3e plaats.
Dat nadeel heb je dan ook nog eens helemaal bijna achteraan moeten starten. Maar in je eerste cross tweede, in je tweede cross derde, ja, dat moet toch veel vertrouwen geven?
Ja, zeker. Ja, dat is heel fijn. En ook in een sterk deelnemersveld vandaag. Dus dat is ook heel leuk om het daarmee te meten. Dus nee, ik ben heel blij en ik kijk alweer uit naar het weekend.
Perfect, dankjewel Denise Betsema. We gaan nog heel even terug naar Inge van der Heijden. Ik kom nog even terug
There's some finish line shots here of Anne-Marie Worth just coming into the finish for team 777. Jeremy, yet another phenomenal performance from Anne-Marie today. And I think that's what the Parkcross here in Maldegem also gives us. Very fast, very flowing, isn't it? And it definitely one of those courses that really suits that explosive power of Anne-Marie.
Yeah. I remember when we were listening to Yanni Meersman, one of the directors there from the Marlux program. He was saying that the underground is very, very firm here, and he was kind of trying to liken it to Zonebeka, I believe, is what he was saying. And I have to agree that it is a unique course where you get these combinations of like the sand that's very soft and undulating. Then you also get these really hard, very packed down, tight, sharp, fast turns. So you need to have unique tire pressure and you need to be able to have kind of good stability on the bike. As you see Anne-Marie coming through those turns, those 180s, she had her weight really far back and she was just kind of like throwing the bike around the turn, super sharp and a challenge all on its own, this course.
And those courses, they're unique, aren't they, to each part of the cross program? And sometimes these races can be the biggest thing that happens in some of the towns each year when cyclocross comes to town.
Yeah, especially a race like Maldegem, a race like Zona Becca, which is the day before the World Cup. Sometimes the biggest riders in the world show up for a race that's just basically in a small town. I think that would be so much fun, and it's truly a way that a lot of cyclists in the United States, at least, get into cycling. A big stage race or a big cyclocross race comes to their downtown. They are exposed to it because it's not on television here, and then they're immediately they become fans of the big show. And then they pick it up and they try it. And then, you've got your next Norbert Riberola, your next Annemarie Worst, or your next Mathieu van der Poel or Wout van Aert. It's very, very cool how that being able to be exposed to it does change the outcome of who gets into the sport.
And a big part of what I love about these sort of races as well, when you walk down the street towards the track here in Maldegem, you've got, because each rider generally has their own camper, don't they? So they warm up outside their own camper, and that's kind of, they're very, as all bike riders are pretty much, very approachable. The fans can engage, and that's how as well they grow these fan clubs that they all have.
Yeah, they do. And there's a great atmosphere at the races. It's like being in the pits of a car race or another event, dirt bikes or whatever. That ability to be accessible is what makes cyclocross so much fun. And I think that it has definitely endeared itself to the fans in that way.
Okay, we are about 25 minutes or so away from the elite men's race. It starts on the hour for those of you who are asking. Let's have a quick look back at what was a great elite women's race here, the Parkcross in Maldegem. That rider at the beginning looking to put the disappointment of the World Championships, and you could say silver medal, I say disappointment now, but that's not really what I mean. But she wanted that jersey, and it was Marianne Norbert Riberola that took the front with Lara Vidonschot and Inga van der Heijden, but Annemarie Worst very quickly up towards the front. Shirin van Anrooy there with Yara Castellijn. It would all come unravel for those two riders a little bit later on in the race. But at this point, it was Annemarie that was leading from the Junior World Champion Shirin van Anrooy with the European Elite Champion Yara Castellijn from 777 right behind her. And that front group was starting to form. Van der Heijden and Van Looy still there. That was the crash there involving Shirin van Anrooy and Yara Castellijn. Van Anrooy got back round to the pits, and then we unfortunately saw Yara Castellijn getting taken off to hospital. As soon as we get any updates, we will give you. Denise Betsema made it up to that front group. But Jeremy, today really was Annemarie Worst in, you would say again, totally in control at this point.
Absolutely, yeah. She definitely tried to get away several times. Had a trouble in the sand. Unfortunately, not able to ride that every time. But then you saw Inga van der Heijden come back to her. Then Betsema then swelled again. Everyone came back together, but Annemarie Worst able in that last lap to put another 8 minutes together with that explosivity and that speed that she's known for, and able to take the victory here in Maldegem.
And there she was, crossing the line. Annemarie Worst takes another victory here in the Ethias cross here in Maldegem. For those of you who are curious, one round to go in this series. That is that great race in Hulst. That's a good one. One of my favourite races of the year. That was Inga van der Heijden crossing the line there ahead of Betsema with Van Looy, and Compton sprinting it out for 4th and 5th places. So a great race, and of course, as we said, we wish Shirin van Anrooy and Yara Castellijn well, hopefully not too worse of it from that crash. We're going to take a little bit of half-time break now, a little bit of entertainment for you. As we said, the men's race starts on the hour. We will be back about 10 minutes to the hour. Enjoy.
Today, I have a very special friend, Tim Johnson. Welcome to the show.
Good to see you.
It's great to see you, too. Thank you for being here. If you guys don't know, Tim Johnson is a 3-time national cyclocross champ, a friend. We've done duel many times.
Many battles.
Some great battles over the years. Today, though, we're in Washington State for the USA National Cyclocross Championships, and I coerced Tim into showing us a couple tips in the mud.
Yeah, I think it's going to be muddy out there. I'm pretty sure.
And why aren't you wearing any gloves?
Who needs gloves? I mean, you really have to get really cold, really wet to need gloves. Come on, this is fine. It's just a little bit of rain.
Let's go. right, Tim, so we're gonna look at mud. There's so many different kinds of mud on the course. There's peanut butter mud.
We could be here for hours talking about all the different kinds of mud.
Yeah, this is like more of like a glazy, kind of on the top, not super heavy, but there are heavy sections. There's deep mud as well. We're gonna fly down this ramp with a ton of speed at like a, you know, an elite level.
Fly in there, hit the brakes, take the turn, and we'll see how it goes.
Yep. Okay, you lead it out.
All right. Yep. In the grass, I've got traction. All right, so here's just one way to do this corner.
Yep.
We're gonna stay on the right-hand side in the grass, and we're gonna cut across the rut and then find some more grass in the other one.
I love it.
Ready?
Yep.
So I've got plenty of traction here, so much so that I can look up, see where I'm going, find some more grass here, and then I can accelerate out of this corner.
Yeah, grass everywhere sets you up for the next one.
Everywhere. And we're lining them all up.
All right, TJ, so we're gonna take a little bit of a different approach on this Nationals track here.
Yeah.
Opposite direction, but it gives us a great place to be able to kind of lay out some of these skills. So if we were coming down this, there'd be two lines kind of coupled into a really gnarly off camber into a run up.
Yep. A lot of times I see people wanting to take a corner too fast. They want to go into it fast, they want to stay fast, they want to get out of it fast, which those three things usually means that someone's going to hit the ground.
So a lot of people probably think that this line on the left, obviously faster, more direct, is going to be better, but you're going to go on the right-hand side, and I think...
Well, I don't know. I mean, it depends if I have traction. You're on the straighter line, so we'll have to see what happens.
I know, but this is dangerous. I'm going to have to screw up a ton of speed. This is scary. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go!
Whoa, I got him. Woo!
Okay, so you guys probably can't tell how steep this section actually is, but it is very, very steep.
Jeremy, where have you been? I've been looking for you this whole time. I was ready to go, and I just figured if you weren't ready, I was just going to get going.
But this section, no, we don't go up, we're going down it, and TJ is going to tell us all about how to do it. So this is very steep, and
Yep.
It looks to me like there's only one line in there.
Yep. Well, there's a reason why it's UCI only, because it's really sketchy.
Yep.
A big thing that you want to do with a section like this is to really look at it, get an idea of what you're dealing with before
Yep.
you have to do it at speed.
Yep.
But it's really important to pick a good line.
Tell me why we want to hit a rut.
Well, sometimes you want to hit a rut just to actually get into a groove, like a train on tracks. You
Yep.
want to make sure you're in it, stay in it, and you ride it all the way to the end. People get into trouble when they get into a rut and they want to get out.
Yep.
Right in the middle. They want to jump out of the rut, and it's too deep, it's impossible to crash.
And then-
or they get stuck in a rut, and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do.
So how do they stay in it?
Well, it's really about riding the entire rut. Really
Commit.
making sure that you're committed to the rut, you're looking the whole way through it, and you want to stay loose.
Yeah.
A lot of people ride too stiff and they fight the rut. Front wheels banging side to side inside the rut. You want to kind of loosen up and just let it ride.
Yeah, okay. All right, well then, you go first.
Oh, good. All right. Never ridden this before, so we'll see how it goes. Nice.
We're good, come on. Tim, one of the other things that I see you doing, you famously always got that leg out.
It's a body English thing, but it's also kind of counterweight. So I can generally go faster, hold a little bit more traction for longer if I've got my inside leg out. As you mentioned, Johnny Tomac, huge inspiration to early mountain bikers like ourselves.
Yep.
I had a poster of him doing that on my wall growing up, and it was the best thing ever. So you want to try and do that when you know you've got a little bit more traction you need. Trying to get some more speed. It's a little bit risky, but it has a good payoff.
Also, it's kind of the oh no moment, right?
Could be. Could be.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You got a leg there.
It's a good
to
save.
save you.
It's a good save. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's definitely going to be a lot of legs out this weekend.
Yeah, I think so. And then take this hard right. right, foot out, boom, second corner.
So yeah, so what I saw, you fly down here, you hopped onto this patch of green grass, scrubbed speed, and then shot a straight line into the turn.
It's really important to brake where you have traction.
Right.
So you can't brake in something this slick, this muddy. It's going to be different every single lap, but you know that when there's grass like that, sand like that, you can get some traction.
Okay, perfect. Let's try it out.
So as Jeremy's coming in, he's going to be scrubbing some speed right there, entering the corner. He's going to be in control. He's going to start to look through the corner, but he's already going to have changed his speed from the straightaway to the corner when he had the ability to do so, not in the corner itself.
Okay, Tim, so standing water on a course, that happens.
It does. It's rare, but when it happens, you got to make sure you're ready for it. So it's all about that fact-finding mission. You talk to your friends, you watch the earlier races, you get a chance to ride the course yourself because you want to know what you're going to put your wheels into.
Right. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be going into, I mean, this thing could be 4 feet deep. A Loch Ness Monster could be in there.
At least alligators. If it's not the Loch Ness, it's definitely an alligator.
We've got straight ruts here like this. This is one of those sections where, I don't know, you tell me.
You want to make sure that you're riding straight with, you know, your body in a nice neutral position, your head up, so you're really focusing on where you want to go rather than, you know, rut to rut. And so you want to be able to let your bike ride underneath you as you continue forward, however it gets there. You just don't want to get trapped in the big ruts.
Right. Tim, in quest for green grass, we see it all the time. This is the line that a lot of riders are riding, but we both know this is dangerous.
Yeah, it's magnetic. You know, the tape just draws you towards it. You want to ride as close as you can, and undoubtedly somebody will get their handlebars stuck in that tape and hit the deck.
And that looks like, you know, here, somehow the bar tape magically wraps around, and then it's, oh no, oh, oh! And then it takes you down. And when you go down, in the United States, we use a lot of this ribbon like this, but in Europe, they use rope.
No.
And that rope, it doesn't move.
No, rope on a wooden post that's 4 inches thick. No, there's nothing that's going to move when that happens. Broken handlebars, broken shifters, broken fingers. Just stay in the middle, stay off the tape, and go as fast as you can.
Yeah. Tim, we'd be remiss to not talk about tire pressure when we're talking about mud.
It's cyclocross. We talk about tire pressures all the time.
What is the lowest pressure you think you ever ran?
I think on purpose, I might have set my bike up at like 16, 15 PSI, but I would have been thinking the entire time, I'm going to flat at any second.
Yeah. What are you running now? Your setup, you have tubeless tires. You like that? Does that work for you?
Yeah, so with tubeless, it's really easy. You can run a pretty low pressure and not have to worry about pinching any kind of tube inside that tire. So I've actually ridden these as low as 20. I think the newer tubeless technology, like this Vittoria with the zip wheels, it's not going to rip off the rim like the old tubeless would. And that's what made us really apprehensive about using it. So, no, I really like tubeless for what it does now.
Yeah. I want to say thank you so much for being on the show. If you guys liked this video and you enjoyed Tim's mud tips, please give this video a thumbs up. That guy gave it one.
Big fan.
Yeah, and if you guys want to leave us a comment, please leave us one down below. If you want to subscribe to GCN, click right in the center.
Do it.
We're here at the Iowa City World Cup, the first round of the UCI Cyclocross World Cup here in Iowa City in the USA. And I have yesterday's champ, Magali Rochette. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes. And how does it feel to have won your first World Cup?
It feels a little bit incredible. Although I've been dreaming of this and I was really believing it could happen, now that it actually happened, I can't believe it happened. So it's a little bit crazy, but very positively overwhelmed.
I can imagine. What a fantastic! You're on a very short list of riders that have won a World Cup from North America.
Yeah, it's cool.
Congratulations! This is your Specialized S-Works. Tell us a little bit about this bike.
Well, I think the paint job of this bike looks like a sunset, and for this reason, I called the bike the Sunset Bike, and I actually made a little poem for you.
Oh well, I would love to hear
it. And it goes like this: when the sun sets, can you ask yourself, did I make the most out of this day? And that's where the sticker here on the top tube, make it count, that's where it comes into play. I can always ask myself, did I make it count today?
And I think yesterday you did make it count.
I did, yes.
High five to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And good luck today.
Thank you.
Magali is using SRAM's all-new AXS Red Grupo and has opted to take her power data with her. Yesterday's numbers are probably pretty high up. She's using the Quark power meter with a 38-tooth ring on it. She has 170 cranks on there, and she's running a 1033 rear cassette. It's also running SRAM's AXS rear derailleur with the fluid clutch, meaning that anytime she's riding off-road, all of those bumps and undulating things that you see in cyclocross, that chain's not coming off. Magali's opted for Expedo CXR Pro pedals using a titanium spindle. They're apparently 50 grams lighter than the XTR Shimano pedals that we've seen on other riders' bikes this weekend. The crux up top is super clean. You don't see any bolts or any binders to be able to hold this seat post in place because it's completely integrated into the frame. They use a clever little bolt that goes through the frame, and it must pinch the seat post here inside, and then they've got a nice little cover that goes right over it as well. They're using a Zip Service Course SL seat post, 27.2 size. They've also got the specialized S-Works body geometry saddle. This is the Mimic model, and it is completely made of carbon fiber, the rails and a carbon fiber shell. So moving up to the front end of the bike, the cockpit is all by Zip. She's using the Zip SL Speed carbon fiber stem. She's also got the Zip SL80 bar, which is an aluminum bar made by Zip. She has a K-edge mount so she can take that data from her Quark power meter and she can see what's up top. And then she's also running Lizard Skin's DSP bar tape. This bar tape, apparently, we've been told, comes in two different thicknesses, 1.8 millimeters and 3.2. Magali's opted for the 3.2 thickness for these cyclocross courses, so she's got a little bit more padding on those bars. This bike has Roval CLX 50 tubular wheels with the white decals. The white decals indicate that the rider is sponsored, something that I didn't know. It also has Challenge Baby Limas 33s on it, which for today's conditions, having rained a lot last night, is going to be a really good choice. This bike has SRAM red brakes, and it has a 160 front rotor and a 140 rear rotor. I presume that's to get a little bit more modulation and a little bit more braking power up front when she really needs it. It's also using center lock technology to be able to keep the rotors attached to the hubs. Okay, we're gonna get some measurements. My favorite, which is the center of the stem to the tip of the saddle, is 53.5. Up front, she's running a 40 centimeter bar with a 110 stem. It is looks to be a 49 frame set, and the specialized Mimic saddle looks to be a 155. It's time for a weight. Let's see what she comes in at. Just 16 pounds on the dot. If you guys liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, let us know what you think, and if you want to see other bikes, check them out over here, and if you want to subscribe to GCN, please click right there.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed our halftime content. We are just under 10 minutes away from the elite men's race here in the Parkcross in Maldegem. Thanks for your company today here for the 7th race of the series in the Ethias Cross. Now, if you don't want to know what happened in the elite women's race, and just as well, I've seen a lot of the chat as well in terms of staying for the women's podium. Our women's podium we always put in our little roundup that we have here, because sometimes podiums can take 10, 15, 20 minutes between the races. So to keep it nice and tight, we go to our halftime content and we always come back. So we always show the women's podium. We put it in our little roundup, which is coming up in 3, 2, 1. What a race we had. Worst there. Oh, don't you just love live TV when that happens? We went to the we went to that. This was the elite women's race. Anne-Marie was crossing line ahead of Inga van der Heijden, and Denise Betsema was right behind her. And I've just said all about that in terms of showing our elite women's podium. And as soon as Super Sid, my great producer in my ears, has the podium, then we'll go. We've got the podium. I'm being told that now as well. Anne-Marie Wurster, Inga van der Heijden, and Denise Betsema, Ellen van Looy, Compton, backer captains for Donschott, Norbert Riemerol and Alicia Frank was your top 10. Let's have a look at the podium now. shall we? It's the riders there on the podium. Annemarie Hurst takes another great victory ahead of Inga van der Heijden and Denise Betsema up there on the third step. Another great victory from Annemarie. That's why I love my job so much. Live TV always keeps you on your toes. Jeremy Powers is back with me today. Jeremy, let's just quickly talk about that. Annemarie Hurst, great victory for her today. Looking good for the back end of the season.
Absolutely, yeah. Like a true professional, she comes in, you know, she's smiling at the...
Unlike myself there.
No, that's fine. That's how these things go. You got to be on the fly. You're good. Boom, boom, boom. You know how to change it up real quick. No, it's just great to be able to see her on the podium. You know, it's going to take a little while to get that sting from missing so close to the World Championships in a sprint finish with her big rival, Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. Now the world champion. I think it's got to be very hard for a champion like Annemarie Hurst to look at that opportunity and then not feel disappointment, especially in the moment. That's bike racing. When I looked at that, I thought that's someone that wanted to win. That's someone that was determined and brought everything that they could, put their entire hand down, and came up just a little bit short. But that's the beauty of bike racing. You can't always be, oh my God, so great for you to win. No, you have to have that intensity. You have to feel that emotion of the loss. And I think that that's what you saw there at the World Championships. If you haven't watched the race, it was one of my favorite races on the weekend, if not my favorite. So I really enjoyed watching that race. It was a great battle all the way to the finish line. I think they could have done another lap and we might have even seen another outcome. Everyone was so gassed at the finish line, but it's just cool. Only such a short time later to see Annemarie Hurst pull it back together in victory. I don't think it's out of spite, Marty. I think she's just flying now.
Definitely. Okay, if you weren't with us for the last round in Braden, let's remind ourselves of that. It was a great race that we had on the last one. We've had some really strong races so far this season here in the Ethias series. And Braden, we can have a look at the highlights of that one. It was a great day for Mathieu van der Poel that took the victory there ahead of Tim Merlier with Yanni Vermeer rounding out the podium on that occasion. Braden is always a fast flowing course as well. Let's have a look at that now. There you have it, and I'm going to get a little illuminated sign for the front of my desk that says yes Matthew, no Matthew. I've been trying to order that one for a while, so no Mathieu van der Poel today, unfortunately, Jeremy, but we've got a great field. Let's have a look at the start list of riders that we'll be seeing in action today. Let's just have a quick look through that one. So we got Laurens Sweeck. He's been a winner here before. Michael van Turnhout, he won here as well back in 2016. The likes of maybe Elisabeth, Lars van der Haar, Quinten Hermans perhaps are going to be looking to maybe rescue something today.
Definitely. I mean, I would say that Laurens Sweeck has a very good opportunity riding the Belgian national champs. Kit is going to be really on a tear today. You've got Toon Aerts also, you know, on great form, third at the World Championships. Eli Iserbyt, this is a very good course for him. You know, very punchy, fast, sharp turns. Michael van Turnhout on great form. Lars van der Haar also going to have a great opportunity today. Not the ride that he wanted at the World Championships. I believe he was 11th place, but you know, that's the thing is as you come up in it, you have good days, you have bad days, but definitely a great track for him and one that he'll have a lot of success on hopefully today.
One rider I'm looking for is Ryan Camp today, new World Under-23 champion. Before we get to action, don't forget to subscribe to GCN Racing. Just hit that little subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. It's free to subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Set your notifications. I know a few of you almost missed out today on the Parkcross here in Maldegem. You can set your reminders. You'll get an email about 30 minutes before, but you also get notified when we go live or when we upload a new video. Loads of great content coming up this year on on GCN Racing that you are not going to want to miss. Everyone's out here, the Parkcross. And there's Michael Van Turen out there, as we said, a previous winner of this race, Felipe Orts. I'm liking the changes to the jersey. He's gone from the all red and yellow to the white jersey with the red and yellow bands. Ethias, Dieter Sweik, and Quentin Hermans here. Kerry Werner right behind him. That's a good start there for Kerry, behind Tone Arts.
Yeah. Absolutely, definitely got to get those races in. A couple of guys sticking after there. You can see Curtis White there in the USA national champ, the national team kit there, riding for the Canada Cyclocross World Team normally, but today lining up in that as he's part of the national team, so he'll be repping those flags. But definitely great to see Curtis White sticking it out after the World Championships. When the season starts here, Marty, in the United States in August, it's always tough to come into to these races after the Worlds, but those guys making the effort and putting in the time to be able to kind of up their game and keep it going for the whole year.
Good to see Felipe Orts on the start. Everyone poised and ready. Look at Lars van der Haar. He's always crouched down, is the Telenet Bauweiser rider. Tone Arts straight down the centre. It's Laurent Sweik, the Belgian champion, that gets a good start. Arts just dropping back just a touch here at the start. It's Lars van der Haar, though, but he's going to follow Quentin Hermans here of Tormund Cyclo-cross. He's been with Circus Wanty Group Gobert on the road. Plenty of those red and black Pal Sows and Bingo jerseys up towards the front. Lars van der Haar sat here in second wheel. David van der Poel in the blue here for Alpecin Phoenix. And Sweik is there. Where's Felipe, my man, number 9, just dropping back just a touch there. Felipe Orts. As they hit the sand this time. It's Hermans leading from van der Haar. This is a good course for Lars van der Haar.
It is a very good course. He's had success here in the past. I think last time, I don't remember, I just remember calling it. I do not remember the result, but I know he was in the front group last year. Has had trouble with these barriers, unfortunately, but you know that happens to everyone, and it's a good course for him, Marty. It's very fast, very punchy. I think, you know, after the disappointment of the World Championships, something like today definitely going to suit Lars van der Haar, and you know, again, a rider that shows up to every race that he puts down, that he puts the skin suit on for, is a contender and someone that can potentially win. But here it is. We see Quentin Hermans at the front, really giving it his all today. Definitely wanting to show off that new program that him and Corne van Kessel have been signed to. And I've been hearing rumors that the team wants to grow and to have a women's program and have quite a few other things in the future. So it's exciting times for the Thormans Cross that's coming up now in the cyclocross ranks, and combining with that road program to give these guys a full season of high level racing.
Tom Meersen going through for Group Hens Mass Containers. They're just going a little bit further down through the group here, just to get a good idea of where everyone is. 32 is Ryan Camp. It's Quentin Hermans leading out through this flowing section for Quentin and Corne van Kessel. We're kind of just over a month now into the new year. They're on cube bikes now. Oh, you just see. Just having a few issues there. Curtis White has had a mechanical in that US national team jersey. But can it sometimes take a rider, Jeremy, a month or so to get used to new kit in race conditions?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen there. There's new equipment. There's new ways that the bikes handle. I mean, I'm thinking about bottom bracket height in particular. I had to look up the geometry of that cube bike because I had never seen it before. You know, there's some things that are going to be different than what he was riding on for years with the Trek program. You know, there's when he was riding for Telenet Balawaza, Sven Nys' program, you know, the bikes are geometry so much different than what he's riding on now, and there's a lot of small things that are going to be changes. Clothing, bikes, wheels, everything is different now, and so there's a lot of changes that these guys are coming into mid-season nonetheless. You know, of course they had probably put some time in before, but they're also racing every week. I mean, how much can you have to go out and ride on new equipment and really nail it in? So I think it does take about a few weeks to feel comfortable at least on these machines as they get going and get into the races at race pace.
There you have. So it's leading out Quentin Hermans, David van der Poel. David van der Poel was up there in 5th in this race last year. Then comes Lars van der Haar, Laurent Sweik, Ellie Isabeth, Tone Arts, Corne van Kessel is right up there. So Hermans here pressing on. Very fast course if you're just getting on board. Welcome. This is the Parkcross here in Maldegem. Laurent Sweeck there, the new Belgian champion, was the winner here in 2018 when we came here. We go back all now to 2010, and it was Niels Albert that took that, followed 2011 Sven Nys. He also took it many times, Sven Nys. Sven van Torenhout took it in 2012. Bart Wellens in 2013, Sven Nys again in 2014, Bart Wellens in 2013, back to Sven Nys in 2014, Kevin Powell's the year after, then Michael van Torenhout, then Mathieu van der Poel, over to Sweeck and back to van der Poel last year. That's the last, the history now of this race. Can it be this man here on the front though, Quentin Hermans, who so far this season, when we look through the Ethias cross here, back to Eclo, long time ago, back way in September. It was Sweeck that took it from Isabit with Hermans in third spot. On to Merlevika. It was Michael van Torenhout took a great victory in that one ahead of Ellie Isabit and Tone Arts. On to Kruijbeke, Isabit from Arts and Hermans there. On to Beringen in that great course, the new course there on the old mine, on that hilly course. Quentin Hermans taking that from Arts and Pidcock, and then to Essen. It was Hermans from Sweeck and Pidcock on that occasion. And as we said, now he's into this new team. His teammate Corny van Kessel just latching on to the back of this group. Tom Meusen is up there as well for Group Hens Mass. He's now on Scott bikes. So there we have it. Yeah, a nice day for a balloon ride out here around Maldegem. Gives you a good vantage point, doesn't it?
They'll do it, man. They'll do anything. I can just imagine how the local Belgian fanfare sold that one. A beautiful balloon ride over the parcours of the Maldegem cyclocross race. A once in a lifetime opportunity to get up there in a balloon to be able to watch the cross. This stuff only happens in Belgium, Marty. It should happen everywhere, but how amazing is that there's that they have that going there. And as you can see, the riders now going over the barriers. These ones are undulating and at two different heights. As you can see, they've sort of settled in over the years, and they have this unique off-camberness to them. I remember them when I was there. They're tricky. They're a tricky set of barriers, and you've seen a lot of crashes over the years. As we see Laurent Sweeck trying to tighten up this group as he sits in fourth place now in that Belgian national champs kit.
Jim Arn out, so forwards a little glance back. Jens Adams behind him. Then our Spanish champion, Felipe Orts, in that white jersey with the national champions bands. Great to see him up there. Really superb technical rider is the man from Spain. And then there's a little bit of a gap now. Can Felipe get on? And they are showing us a lot further down the group than we normally get. They are watching out, I think, as well, number 32, Ryan Cant. That's Nicholas Kleppe that's there through the deep sand. And Lars van der Hardy, really, apart from Jens Adams, the only rider not to ride the planks on that occasion. Felipe just gets kicked to the left. Another bike brand sing in there, the BH bikes. There's Dieter Sweeck with Nicholas Kleppe alongside him. So this is, you can see from that shot, this front peloton still very much together, this front group in the Parkcross in Maldegem. Quentin Hermans, I think, Jeremy, looking at that little glance that Hermans gave there, I think he thought he might have done a little bit more damage with that opening lap burn there.
Yeah, I definitely think that he was hoping to look back and not see as many guys there, but you never really know fully what the damage has done. Sometimes it takes more than 7 or 8 minutes. We always say that, it's everyone can go hard for 10 minutes, but it's actually 16, 24. These laps add up, and then that's when the damage starts to show. So, Quentin Hermans has a lot of success as a rider. He's won a lot of big races this year. He's got he knows how these races go. So he'll be looking for the long game. He's not going to be looking at what happened in 8 minutes, but definitely taking a quick look back just to see what damage he's been able to do so far as he lights it up. And very good day for him so far. You can see just the intensity and the explosiveness in his legs. So it's good to see Hermans at the front, really pushing the pace here in Maldegem.
It is indeed. Just give a little shout out to some of your other riders you can keep an eye out for that as we're seeing so much further down the groups than we normally do. Finn Mansfield is in there for Zero Cycle Division from Loughborough. He's wearing 26. Give a shout out to the British rider. For Italian fans, Nicola Parenti is 27. Marco Carrozzo is 28. They're keeping an eye out, I think, for Ryan Camp, who's wearing 32. He's from Paushausen Bingo, the new under-23 champion. For you fans from Poland, we've got Mikolaj Markovic, and we've seen in there as well. For our French fans, Antoine Benoist is in there as well, and for our other French riders, Francois Castagnier from Anakin Cycling Team, and he's up there. Please excuse our picture breakup, something that is you can see as a host broadcast problem that they are having here at the moment, so our apologies for that. But our leading group looking good at the front of the race. It's the Tormans cyclocross team, as Jeremy said, looking to grow this program now. Circus Wanty Gobert, or Wanty Group Gobert as they were, have always been a very attacking, very exciting team on the road. We saw Zandro Marista coming back into cyclocross for that team, and good to see them now recognizing what cyclocross can do for their sponsors in terms of giving them 12 months of publicity, 12 months of the year. Laurens Sweeck, they're looking resplendent in that Belgian national champions jersey. I don't know if you'd agree, Jeremy, but I think this Belgian title for Sweeck could really be the making of him, to help him just step up, because he's a rider, he's always there, takes a great collection of victories every year, but I think that Belgian title might give him that boost to think, do you know what, I am one of the best now. I can I can hang out with the likes of Mathieu and those guys.
Definitely. I mean, we saw that Sweeck was able to match Mathieu van der Poel at races like Rotterdam, very, very close to the front, eventually locking horns, doing good battle at the front with these with the top riders, taking quite a few wins over the year as well. But being Belgian national champ, I think does add a lot of, excitement for a rider like Sweeck. He's got that brand new custom red, yellow Ridley that he's racing on. The second that you show up and that national champion skin suit is presented to you, the second that you see that bike, every single day when you put a leg over it, you put a smile on your face, because it's an achievement that every single rider dreams of in their career, to be able to have that moment where Sweeck is now the champion of Belgium, which is in its own right such a huge, it's as big as being the world champion. To have those, they would always, when Sven Nys would show up to the races, he was like the eternal Belgian champion. Like, even when he wasn't Belgian champion, he would have the Belgian flag like integrated into his kit. But besides Sven Nys, that jersey's been passed around amongst a very select group of riders, and I think that they're the best that Belgium has to offer. It's such an honor to be able to wear that jersey in the biggest cyclocross country in the world, as we see here the riders making their way through this. I do think that that momentum that race had for Laurens Sweeck is definitely very exciting for him in the future, and I think it's going to add that to Sweeck that he hasn't had in the past.
You saw the Quentin Hermans, good technique through the sand there from Quentin Hermans. Just you saw really lifting that front with. There's Felipe Orts going through. Great to see another flag up there as Hermans attacks the front of the race yet again, just like we had with Tom Pidcock at the Worlds, with up there the first ever medal for an elite British man at the World Championships, and now with Felipe starting to break the top 10 in these races, the 24-year-old Spanish rider, and we see him time and time again. We just see him gradually as the years have gone on. The last couple of seasons we saw him just starting to break in there. You can see him number 9, great super technical rider. He's had a successful season back home, multiple victories and defending that national title. Took a podium spot in the Nacht van Voorden race back in October as well, behind that man there, Lars van der Hart, on your screen, with Joris Neuvenhuis was second on that occasion. Our apologies for our picture freeze. He's just, again, straight back on cue. But it's Hermans, Isabits, Van Turenhout, David van der Poel, Toon Aerts, Laurens Sweeck, Corny van Kessel, all still up there within striking distance of the front of the race here. Quentin Hermans, though, has got the front, definitely has the motivation to try and take this one today. You can see it's a very narrow finishing straight that you have here in Maldegem. It's quite unusual. You got the little narrow brick bit, you got the grass on the right. So Meeuwsen, Van der Haar, Dieter van Toorn out. There's Jens Adams and Jim Arnouts going through next. So this lap 3 that we are on 13, just under over there, 13 and a half minutes of racing. Thanks all of you for getting on board over on the forum. And the just give a little shout out, someone that posted, I saw in halftime, Frankie, who's 15. I'll post your question to Jeremy post race, so we'll get you some tips afterwards. We'll concentrate on the racing, so we'll watch all of Jeremy's videos would be my tip on how to get into cyclocross, but we'll put your question to Jeremy afterwards. Great Cross was just starting to get a little bit of a group now, clipping off the front. Ellie Isabit, Quentin Hermans. Hermans has been attacking this race constantly from the start. Has he finally managed to crack a hole in that group? David van der Poel is just trying to close it down with Toon Aerts not far behind him. Good to see the brother of Mathieu up here. He's 27 years old, is David van der Poel. Has been a pro since 2011. He's a good cyclocross professional as well, is David van der Poel. He doesn't win as much as his brother, but he's had a victory so far in this cyclocross season over in Vittel in France. Not quite as many victories as he normally does. We see him out there in the French Cup, Jeremy, don't we? We see him going down to Ethias in Switzerland. He'll head over to the Czech Republic to races and build his own UCI points, which are so important as well for your griddings.
Yeah, he had an injury with his back earlier in the year, so he had something go on where he needed to take some time out and to be able to recover from that and fully come back. You know, he is human, you know, so he has injuries, unlike his cyborg brother, who seemingly can win everything and never injured, never have any problems, and is just at the absolute top end of the sport. But yeah, he's got a more unique schedule. He chooses and picks his races. You know, that would probably be more of an issue in a family like having a brother like Mathieu van der Poel, where you have to ask dad, like, hey, who are you going with this weekend? And I'm just assuming that there's a little bit of rivalry there. But I know that they train a lot together. I know that they're great friends and obviously brothers. So, yeah, nice to see David van der Poel here at the front in Maldegem, riding for the Alpecin Phoenix program, able to be in the mix today and hopefully be able to be staring at the podium and get a good opportunity to take something out of today.
Indeed, so you can see this group still very much together, and this is what if you're new to cyclocross or you haven't seen a cyclocross where the likes of Mathieu van der Poel are here, this is more of what we get, isn't it, Jeremy? A bigger bunch, more riders in contention for an awful lot longer in races.
Definitely. I mean, we're going to be seeing a lot more of this with van der Poel now focusing on his early season road program. Also, we've seen Tim Merlier say that he's not going to continue racing, but we are going to see Wout van Aert come back. We're going to see Tom Pidcock finish off his season. We're going to see Eli Iserbyt. We're going to see a lot of these riders continue to finish out their year at the front and really put the end of the season on here. So we're going to see some riders leap. We're going to see some riders continue to stick it out. But the big hitter, Mathieu van der Poel, ending his season after the World Championships, is going to definitely change the way that these races are raced at the front. There's going to be a lot of different styles of racing, which is going to give some other riders some opportunities. You see Toon Aerts there now sitting in 5th place with number 2 on there, with the Belgian flag designating that he was previously the Belgian national champ on his sleeves, is going to lead for some exciting racing as we see now. Michael van Torenhout leading this one out.
We'll just run you through your top 10. So Hermans, it changes all the time in the order, but Hermans, Van Torenhout, Iserbyt, David van der Poel, Toon Aerts, Corny van Kessel, Laurens Sweeck. We've got Lars van der Haar, Tom Meeuwsen, Dieter van Torenhout, and then just off the back of that group are the likes of Jens Adams, and you've got Felipe Orts that's also up there as well. Jim Arnouts that's just gone through your picture as well. So pretty much 13 or 14 riders still very much in contention action here. It's Michael Van Turenhout, and that downhill run, it's seeing a kind of difference in technique there from Michael Van Turenhout. Normally we see him bunny hopping the planks with his hands on the top, but you've got a bit of a run down into the planks today, shifting the hands onto the brake levers to give himself just a touch more control.
Definitely. I mean, like I said, these are so unique. Off camber, one's going up, one's going down. It's like the Jaws out there right now, Marty. I think hitting those barriers at speed is dangerous.
Just a few of you getting on board over on the forums on Facebook. Give my contractual shout out to Susanna Viles. Thanks for checking in. I think over there in Australia, David Navarro checking in as well. A lot of you getting in on board from Spain. Good to see your Spanish champion up here and racing. I am sure that you're enjoying seeing that. Richard Mass back on board. If you're watching at work, and you got your headphones on, you got your screen turned discreetly away from your colleagues, let me know. I want to know who's watching at work. Where are you watching us, and what are you doing? You know, if you're a brain surgeon and you're in operating theatre and you've got the screen on in the background, yeah, maybe not. We don't want to know that, but hey, let us know where you're watching us. Michael Van Turenhout kicking through here. Lap 3 of 10 is complete here. Thanks for joining us on GCN Racing. Van Turenhout leads through 19:37, so you can see 10 fast laps. We're on to lap 4 of 10 here. Felipe still on 11th. Adams, Arnouts, Ryan Camp now up to 14th. Great to see the under-23 world champion now moving through the field and up there into 14th. Another top, strong Dutchman, Jeremy.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's great to see just these new names coming into it. As we see down there, this is Mario de Klerk, former world champion, and also part of the Marlux Poel Sausen team coming here to talk.
Of niet inrijden als je vierde positie zit. Maar ik denk dat Michael echt wel gedreven is hier. Het is in feite een thuiswedstrijd voor hem. Hij woont nu in Wetteren, maar hij komt wel van Beernem, dus niet zo ver van huis en hij doet dat wel graag zoiets. Parkcrossen is dikwijls voor Michael, ja.
Jullie zijn hier goed vertegenwoordigd vooraan, maar is dat op zo'n snel parcours al zit een voordeel of niet?
Maar ik denk dat het zodanig snel gaat dat je echt niet veel kunt het ploegspel toepassen, behalve de laatste ronde eventueel dat je kunt een gat laten vallen voor een of een ander. Maar dat is nog afwachten, zover zijn we nog niet. Op de laatste ronde, als we nog met 3 van de 5 de laatste ronde kunnen ingaan van onze ploeg, dan kunnen we misschien wel iets fixen, maar voorlopig is het nog niet aan de orde.
Voorlopig nog niet veel te fixen. Dankjewel, Mario.
Mario de Klerk, still your leading group. Ryan Camp on the back. This is still anyone's game here. A few of you watching at work. Kerpo Rugg checking in from Estonia, watching at work. Eugene Skill watching at work. Thanks for checking in. Jose Valdez from Madrid. Half nap while baby girl is sleeping. I'll try not to shout too much. Sorry, I'm a bit loud sometimes if you're watching with the little ones. Shellywell, Jimmy Mass, this evening there. Eitzel Dia watching from work. Michael Larson checking in, and Daniel Bocke from Kalp. Thanks for getting on board. It's a busy week here on GCN Racing of live cyclocross action. Jeremy and I are back at the weekend from the DVV Trophy from Lille on Saturday, the Super Prestige from Hoogstraten on Sunday. So make sure, subscribe, hit your notifications, get your schedules on board. Looking at this group, I reckon it's still anyone's game here. Do you know what? I think if Ryan Camp can get himself up towards front, you don't win the under-23 Worlds without having some good form. If he can just start to gradually, over the course of these final sort of 6 laps, just pick off those riders in front of him, he could be a contender in this one.
Definitely. I mean, I think that he's definitely got the head for it. He's good. He's tacking onto the back of this group here. There's a lot of opportunities, you know, to be able to kind of make your way through this course. If you're in that front group, then you're in the yo-yo, you know, meaning that it's going fast and then it's slowing down, and then it's going fast and it's slowing down. But if you're towards the front of this group, then you're obviously not getting as much whiplash, as I'd like to call it, Marty. As you see there, Elite Easterbeat having a little bit of trouble there, still fighting for those spots in the back. So if you're not in the front of this, it's going to be tough. And if you're at the back, then you're going to be able to what we call like tail gun it. You know, as we see again here, these riders kind of coming in 2 up. Easterbeat underneath looks like to be Toon Aerts there. Not quite enough as he looks back like, hey, what happened there? But we saw in the replay what happened, man. You were going in a place where there wasn't enough space.
He was going in super hot in that one. I think it was smoking hot. Ethias was going into that corner. He had a proper two-wheel drift. Raul Banqueri saying, "Como va Felipe?" I think that means, where is Felipe? He's just there. He's still in this group. I am this year giving, it's a language year for me, being a useless individual from the UK. Who, my Italian's good, my French is not bad. I'm going to try with my Spanish and my Dutch. Dutch is going to be my goal of the summer to try and learn that one. So thanks all of you for getting on board. It's great to hear from you. Even Rodriguez in the library studying. Yeah, right. That's good to hear. Cycling Watercolours, love your work in Northumberland. Saying hi, Big Bubba from the Netherlands. Youth Cycling from Formby, check them out. And Juan Rodriguez from Colombia. Jeffrey Burgess also there as well. Thanks all of you for getting on board. Let's have your winners. Who is going to take this one? It's still anyone's game here at the Parkcross in Maldegem, the traditional Wednesday cross after the World Championships from the weekend into the planks. And I love the decorative effect of the planks here in Maldegem. I like the little sort of almost big bamboo on the top there.
Yeah, it's nice. That's nice for the riders. You know, you don't hit it, you don't whack your rims if you do tap when you go over the barriers. But this is an interesting thing that we've got going on here with Corne van Kessel at the front as well, tacking on to Quinten Herman. So now we've got two riders from the same team that are looking for that victory for their new program that they're racing for, both coming over from Telenet Balawaza. This may be an opportunity for them to use some team tactics here, Marty, to be able to open up a gap and see the other one off to a nice victory here in Maldegem.
Indeed. Corne van Kessel is always there and thereabouts. You see some of the riders on the left there just going through. Hermans with Van Kessel, his teammate, now moving up into third behind Michael Van Turenhout. Van der Poel and Easterbit. There's Tom Mayusen. A lot of you big fans of him. There's Felipe going through. Dieter Van Turenhout off and running through the sand. It's pretty deep is the sand on these sections.
Definitely saw Jens Adams in there as well. A rider that was able to get, I believe, third place over in Zonebeke. Would be a nice result for him today, also to land on the podium, riding for a more of a independent program now that he's not racing for the Paul Sausen program any longer.
Is it Apple's he's sponsored by, I think, or as we go on to lap 5 of 10? I think it's an Apple company that he's sponsored by.
Be fantastic. There's a lot of fiber, you know, a lot of vitamins and minerals in apples, so that's awesome. As we see now, it is Quinten Hermans on the front, just tearing it up through these sand sections, making them look easy when they're anything but. Toon Aerts there coming through in second. Felipe Orts, it's awesome to see him up here. I always enjoy seeing the Spanish national champion out there doing battle at the front of these Belgian races. He's a great, got a lot of energy. Follow him over on his social media. You'd be surprised to see how much energy a guy like Felipe Orts has after racing so hard. Then you see there Camp, the new under-23 world champion there, about 9 seconds back in 14th place, and a lot more hitters to go after him.
Yannick Peters just sitting up, giving himself a bit of a self-chiropractic treatment on the as he goes through the line. There's Kerry Werner for the you can see for Kona. Goes through. Jens Decker is behind him. Vishaw's had some good results in this series. Joran Vishaw. He was 8th at Bredene, was Joran Vishaw. Back to the front, into the washboard. It's Tormund Cyclocross leading here with Corne van Kessel in third. Michael Van Turenhout right behind him. Then comes Ethias, David Van der Poel, Zweig Arts, a little bit of styling over the top of there, just ahead of Lars van der Haar. What can Ethias take away from this season, Jeremy? Because he came in on such top form, didn't he? And he looked, just as we went into that busy program around the Christmas time, that he started to look fatigued. And he's going to get, when he comes into next one, he's going to be another year older, another year stronger. Would you follow the similar program to last year, or try to come in a little bit under form? Or
Yeah, I think that I think every year the riders look at their season and then they say, hey, how could I make a little bit of a difference in how I approach it? You know, Iserbyt came in so fast at the beginning of the season. He won the World Cups. And I remember listening to an interview with him in English where he said, I wouldn't do anything differently. I'll pick this up after we hear this interview. And I'm not sure who this is, unfortunately.
De lijn kan doortrekken tot in de tweede helft van de wedstrijd. Hè.
Hoe is hij van dat WK teruggekomen? Is dat vermoeid of is dat toch met nieuwe goesting?
De goesting was er zeker. Tegenover andere jaren heb ik de indruk dat de goesting groter is nu als vorig jaar of het jaar daarvoor. Heeft hij na de aanloop van het WK met die blessure gezeten tussen zijn schoudersbladen. En ik heb de indruk dat dat beter en beter gaat.
Ja, dat is duidelijk. We zullen zien wat dat gaat worden. Dankjewel, Wendy.
This group, as it's starting to split, they're still very much together in cross terms. Lap 5 of 10. You are on here. Shout out to the Wessex Wallies who are over in recovering from their trip to Dubendorf, the Wessex cyclo-cross team. From the Parentini, my local Parentini Wessex Cyclocross League. Great to have you on board over on Twitter. No updates from Yara Castelline. As we said, we never speculate as soon as we have anything, even if it's at the weekend. Keep an eye on social media for updates on Yara Castelline. Iserbyt latches onto the back. Van der Poel just getting a little bit distance. David Van der Poel. Van der Haar just getting on. Starting to see a bit of daylight. It has been utterly relentless so far through this race. Ryan Cant gets on. Quentin Hermans has been dishing it out throughout this race, attacking at every opportunity. Little question over on the forum from Youth Cycling. Will we cover the British champs next year? If they film it, we will show it. It's one of those things. If you build it, they will come. If they film it, it's the sort of thing they. We need it. Yeah, we'll take the coverage if they film it. So yeah, big hopes. We'd love to do more with the national championships.
I would love to see the. I'd love to see. I wanted to know if that was Quentin Herman's father there that we were hearing from. It had a reminiscence that looked a little bit like him. So be interesting to see if that was his dad. I'm not totally sure. I've not met that man yet, but I'll be curious. I'll definitely be sure to ask Quentin after if his dad was on the live stream. As we see there, Quentin Herman's really a couple different lines through this section. As we see now him on the front, boom, boom, over the barriers. You can see that he's punching it out of there. Quentin Herman's, Marty, really wants to take this race by the front. He wants to race it from the front. He's been on the front the almost entire race. Michael Van Torenhout taking over shortly, but then it was Quentin Hermans right back there. And now Corny Van Kessel looking at an opportunity here to be able to help his teammate out or potentially take the win himself. But they definitely, the Thormans program has this race and they want to take it. They want to take their first victory of the year, Marty.
They do indeed. You see the size of that group still very much together. De Telegraaf are reporting Yara Castelline as a serious feared. Again, this feared that the injury to Yara's to her back, but the first tests don't reveal any fractures. That comes from De Telegraaf.nl, so the Dutch paper. So I'm just reporting that. That's what they've said so far. So we send all our love out to Yara. Of course, Jeremy was with Yara and the team a little bit earlier on in the season. And it's you can see now, Corny Van Kessel and Quentin Hermans are battling it out at the front. Ellie Iserbyt getting in there. It's still very much a Tormans Paushausen bingo battle at the front. Telling it Baloise. They've been quite noticeable by their the way they're just kicking back in this group. Lars van der Haar and Toon Arts. There's the gaps. Tom Meyerson just coming around that corner through the line. It's Corny Van Kessel that leads through this time. We're on lap 6 of 10. Still much together. Meyerson looks back. Dieter van Doorn out. Felipe Orts, Jens Adams, Jim Arnouts right behind him with the riders that we just got a glimpse of into this deep sand. The Belgian champion kicking through that section. Almost looks like a giant pickle, that bottle, doesn't it? That big inflatable bottle. I think I've been questioned on that one before, the big inflatable bottles that are at the side.
Yeah, you can definitely, and this is that's a great shot right there through the pickle bowl, as we called it, Marty. There's that big rut that the riders are just nailing. We've seen them all running it before. We saw Anna Marie Worst deciding on that last lap to not take an opportunity to try to ride it. She just ran it as well. There's so much there's so many of these little lines all throughout this that really make this course what it is. It's in a park, which is not necessarily how they usually do these races in Belgium. But I think that the tactics that are playing out here with a single line through each of these turns is really unique. We've got the Thormans team, which is Corne van Kessel and Quinten Hermans at the front, sandwiched in between Ili Isterbit and Michael van Tornhout, and then chasing just a little bit behind is the national champion, Lauren Sweck. So there's a lot of great racing here to find out who the winner of this race is going to be. And there's a lot of tactics that are going to come in as we get into the last half of this one, Marty.
It is indeed. Will it be a first victory of the cross season for the new Tormans team? Absolutely great to see them in the cross world. Now the riders on the back of that group still very much together. Corne van Kessel kicking on. For me, Jeremy, Corne van Kessel has just always been there and thereabouts. He needs to start picking up the victories in these sort of races. There almost seems to be sometimes that little confidence switch. And I think the new team and going into a new program could be the motivation that Corne van Kessel needs to finally go, do you know what? I need to start capitalizing on these, because he's always there and thereabouts. And in these situations, he's good enough to be able to take victories in these races.
Yeah, I mean, new team, new motivation, change in sponsor, watching the racing that he's doing. I think that there's a good opportunity here for him to be able to shine and to be able to, throw his hands up and have a good next year. I mean, he's going to do some bigger road races that he's not been able to do in the past, and he's going to have an opportunity to grow his engine. There's always a lot of excitement when you come into a new team with new equipment, new sponsors. So I think that that's definitely going to play into it. But I have to say that there's a lot that's happening here with Quinten Hermans being able to set the pace and then have Corne van Kessel sort of pick up where Quinten left off and now push the pace on his own. Definitely Ili Isterbit's taking notes, seeing what's happening out there, and it'll be interesting to see if Ili decides to launch an attack of his own.
Just Kenny Boom Boom Schmitz checking in over on the forum. Thanks for the update. Yes, it was Quinten Hermans' dad. He said Quentin's been struggling with his shoulder blades, but still motivated at this point in the season. Thanks, Boom Boom. We'll call you Boom Boom from now on. It's
I like that.
to, I like that. We do like that. It was when Lars Bohm won the Tour of Britain, and my great editor on that one, they did a kind of montage to Boom Boom Shake the Room, and he'd never heard it because of course Boom means tree, doesn't it, in Dutch?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I used to call him when I was racing over there. I used to always say Boom Boom. That was always my nickname for him. So I'm glad to see that other people have picked up on it. Unfortunately, a little bit of hindrance here on the feed. Marty, I think I'm going to attribute that to the hot air balloon. I think there's hot air balloon interference today coming out of Maldegem. The satellite signal is being interfered with the hot air balloon that the fans are hanging out in, hovering above Maldegem.
Yeah, you never know. Good day for a balloon ride. There's your Belgian champion. He's on that Ridley bike. They're still within striking distance. The thing on this course, though, Jeremy, is there's not a huge amount of places to pass, is there? It's very, in terms of the course, it's very narrow. There's an awful lot of twists and turns within this course. So there's not a huge amount of opportunity to pass, because we look at the order and it's only really been that first couple of riders that have managed to swap through it off. We've had that sort of same order for the sort of top 10 for quite a while.
You really have to. You really need to be at the front in this race. You have to race it from the front. You have to be there. Like I said, the rubber band eventually snaps. As you can see, they're overtaking a rider that, is not on that same level. You can see Michael van Tornhout not really paying attention, has his head down, almost hits him, but he's going to be trying to get out of the way. Also looking a little bit reminiscent of that Belgian national champs jersey there. So definitely repping those colors, but it's a race that's really, really fast at the front and needs to be treated as such. As this rider's surprised by the fact that he's being lapped. Oh, hey, everyone's coming by right now.
That's Bart Vandenberg from Jan van Arkel, who's in there wearing number 37, just to get in there. He's done all right to get to this point. Still in there. Is most of us mortals would be lapped within like 2 laps in this one. Ethias kicks on at the front, so a bit of an attack. You see some riders just starting to get caught up on here, and they get kind of pulled out on that 80% roll. Michael Van Toren out, so the Paushausen bingo riders at the front. Excuse our picture breakup. It is coming from the host broadcaster. They look like they're having a few issues. Ethias kicking on here. He's going to go through the line, and we'll go on to lap 7 of 10 here for the Paushausen bingo man. Michael Van Toren out, kicking on to try and get back up to him. Swake, Tonarts just comes over the top. Then you got Tom Mayusen, David van der Poel, and then Lars van der Hart and Felipe Orts for Spain. For all you Spanish fans, he's just still up there, still within striking distance in this top 10. But you can see as they go through the sand, the gap's just starting to open from Ethias. As we go through 37 minutes 39 was the time as they went through the line. Just to give you an update, they are trying to push some buttons and try and get the feed a little bit better. They were putting the hot air balloon power into this one. Maybe another 50p in the meter to try and get the power up on the feed.
Yeah, if it was only that easy to just put a little bit more money in the meter. But like I said, Marty, now Ethias is taking that race by the front, and he said, okay, you guys, Quinten Hermans and Corne van Kessel, you guys have laid down your attacks. Now it's my turn. So he's going out, really pushing the pace as he gets into this washboard section, and it's Quinten Hermans that's got to take over the chase because Corne van Kessel's just shot his shot, and now Quinten Hermans trying to close that gap. But you see Michael Van Toren also on his wheel. So there's definitely team tactics here, but Ethias right now going all in, trying to put his stamp on this race here in Maldegem, coming back from that 10th place finish at the World Championships, where, yeah, a very hard course for him. For also Quinten Hermans, they both finished 9th and 10th, with Hermans beating out Ethias at the World Championships. Is a tough one for those guys to get through such a hard day at the World Championships. So much mud overnight. The course changed so much, but here you see Ethias really turning now, leaning the bike over, coming through this turn, and you'd be surprised, Marty, how fast this race. See it as much on TV, but this hard underground here on this course, these deep, fast ruts, the riders really need to use all of the momentum and all of their skill to be able to navigate this one.
It was when Tom Pidcock took off like a rocket ship in the World Championships. Ethias went with him, and he put himself in a box. Basically, he had steam coming out of his ears, trying to stay with the Brit that went on to take the silver medal. Corne van Kessel and Quinten Hermans for Tormans. Ethias starting to open up a good gap here. Hermans with Van Toren out right behind him. Hermans is going to have to do the work. There's Corne van Kessel with the Belgian champion right behind him. It's quite unusual to see Tonarts in a different kit, because we had him in the European Champions kit, then we had him in the Belgian Champions kit. Now he's back in the colours of his team. But this is a good move now by Ethias, the young Belgian. And again, you kind of remember, he's still only 22, Ethias, so yeah, still a very young rider.
Absolutely, yeah, and he's had a ton of success this year, winning the World Cups early on, being the leader overall. I mean, he's really started to come into his own as a top pro, winning a couple of under 23 World Championship titles. He's got a great list of palmares. He's one of the top riders in the world, there's no question. And it'd be interesting to continue to see how he goes throughout the month of February, because he's been racing so long at a high level, Marty. Definitely feel like we've seen kind of the up and the down from him throughout the year. There's been great days, there's been not great days. That victory at Koppenberg sticks out as one that he has to be super proud of. As you see there, Hermans pushing the pace, just not able to come through that turn. Now Michael Van Toren smells blood in the water, and he's thinking about it, but he decides to lean back. He's not going to chase his teammate down, as Corne van Kessel now tries to make it back up with Koen Aerts and Lawrence Swick on his wheel.
Those are your chasers. Ethias, let's have a look at the slide. Just loses that front wheel. He was just pushing his maximum slideability on this course today in Maldegem to the limit. But Ethias, 8 victories he's had so far this season. This could be his 9th for his first proper real elite season. That's, looking at the races that he won, that's a phenomenal start to your elite career, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he definitely has a skill set. We knew he was going to be a hitter when he came into it off the under 23s, but you can see him punching it out of the barriers. Marty, read down this race and make sure that everyone knows that he's on a good day. He's pushing it, and you're seeing Hermans trying to respond, trying to make up for that little dab that he had back there on that last turn. Michael Van Torenhout playing the teammate role, just sitting back, waiting to see if Corne Van Kessel, if Quinten Hermans is able to close this down, then it's going to be on top for Michael Van Torenhout to be able to do. And we've seen at races like Kortrijk with the city cross that they had there, we've seen there be some communication errors between he and Eli in the past.
And just apologise for our stream at the moment, the picture quality. They're doing everything that they can to try and sort it out for you. My sincerest apologies on that. Keep hitting the likes. I don't know if it's like the young fan that we see at a lot of races in Britain who's got a little sign that says, tap here to power up. A little bit of unicorn power she has when she's out of races. Maybe that, just hit those likes, see if it has the same effect on this one. Ethias a bit pressing on here at the front. For me, Jeremy's one of those riders, and I've got to say, as he comes through the line, he's going to go out here on lap 8 of 10. Is this the race-winning move? Can those chasers behind come back to him? It's Van Torenhout and Hermans that are right behind him. He's one of those riders that I like him because he doesn't hide his emotions, does he, Ethias a bit? He, he's all out there. It's all a very raw emotion. When he's on a bad day, he definitely lets you know it.
Definitely, and from everything that I've been able to kind of piece together in the press, he's one of the only riders that's been saying like, "Hey, I want to beat Mathieu van der Poel. I think I can beat Mathieu van der Poel. It just is going to need to be the right day." But yeah, he's definitely very confident in his ability. He's got a good. He's got a lot of good technique, a lot of good form, and he's shown himself to be a hitter at this race every day, or excuse me, at all the races that he's done this year. So, yeah, we're seeing Yanni Meersman again come in to have his say on the race. But right now, behind Iserbit is in trying to chase down his teammate and ditch Quinten Hermans as he tries to get up to the front to potentially take this win away from Ili Iserbit. Inter-team rivalry going on right in front of us, Marty.
It is indeed, as Ellie rounds that corner into the washboard. Gianni Meersman kicks on. His teammate, though, Michael Van Torenhout, already a winner in this series so far this season, all the way back now in Molenbeek. It was one of those performances that when Michael Van Torenhout took that, it looked again that we might get those victories might come in a flood, but it hasn't quite worked out that way. He's been there and thereabouts, solid season. Can he take another good one today? A little shout out Arnold Yo, just checking in, is Singapore hosting the National Cyclocross Championships. We'll check out that link for sure. There's your gap on that section. Again, apologies for the quality of the stream. They're just trying to sort that one out for you. My sincerest apologies on that. And Michael Van Torenhout for Paushausen Bingo. Telenet Baloise are here, Jeremy. They're the big losers at the moment out of this leading group.
And definitely, they've had a big season though so far, and there's a lot of racing still to come. So they've got a lot of things to hang their hats on. They've had a great year, and they've made some great performances. Toon Aerts ride at Namur, even though he crashed, it's one of the greatest races that I've ever seen from him. And even though he didn't win, he and Van der Poel went head to head in an absolute body blow for body blow, just beating up on each other. Literally, it was like a boxing match all day there. It was a great race, even though you can't have one of those every single weekend. There'd be no riders left, but it was awesome to watch. And yeah, I was just going to mention, Marty, that you can see on this course, you can see that there's a little bit of spray paint that they've kind of done in these technical sections. They've sprayed these roots and different little rocks and things because typically in Belgian crosses, you don't see a lot of things in the ground. You know, there's not a lot of rocks, there's not a lot of things. They really manicure these courses for the cross bikes so that there isn't anything for the smaller tires to flat on. If this was a mountain bike race, they would probably not do that because there's suspension and bigger tires that can easily absorb those bumps and stuff. But in the cross races, the organizers take it upon themselves to spray paint a little bit of these obstacles so that the riders, at least in darker conditions with a, you know, over some clouds overhead, that so that the riders are able to see this stuff and not have any mishaps or any problems. As we see now, it's Elite Easterbit that's really drilling this on the front through the pits here, as he sees that there's an opportunity here for him to stick this gap that he's got and really capitalize on this effort that he's been putting in this last couple laps.
Ethias a bit kicking on. He's getting a good gap now. Is the Paushausen bingo rider. There's a little look back. I love it when someone like Tone Arts makes me eat my words. And he's just got back into that group. Let's hear if we can hear our interview in the corner.
Ja, zeker wel. Hij gaf het ook voor de wedstrijd al aan als ze nog voorkomt, dan gaat het misschien
vallen. Elisabeth, the winner in Nome in the World Cup in the cyclo-cross there. So he has had a victory in 2020. It was a great race that we had over there. As Lars van der Haar just gets back on, and a lot of you commenting on Lars van der Haar and he runs the barriers. It is starting to affect his ability to win races, isn't it, Jeremy? The Lars van der Haar running the barriers a lot of the time, because in a situation like this, it's just those fractions of a second that he's always losing. But also, would you say there's the effort of trying to get back on all the time, those little burns of energy, the little watt matches that you burn each time you have to kick and get back on?
I think so. I mean, I think that there's, I think that there's a small amount that takes away, whether that's even a half second a lap. Over 10 laps, that's 5 seconds. You know, it could be as much as 10, 15 seconds. But, you know, it's what he feels secure in. It's how he feels as though he's got the best opportunity to perform at his highest level. It's not something that he's comfortable doing, and everyone has their thing. You know, maybe for a rider like we were talking about earlier, Inge van der Heijden doesn't really like the muddy races. You know, it's hard to be a complete cyclocross. We watch and commentate on the best riders in the world. Lars van der Haar is one of those riders. He has, you know, he has his things, but it's the same with Laurens Sweeck. You know, he has his days where he does well, but then he has his days where he doesn't do well. Same for David van der Poel, same for Tom Meeuwsen. You know, Meeuwsen's an incredible bunny hopper, can jump anything, doesn't love, you know, doesn't love the straight in the really fast courses. So every rider has their day, every rider has their skill set and their things that they're good at. I personally loved racing on fast courses when I was young and really explosive. And as I got older, I really started to enjoy the finesse and the technique of having the muddy courses, having to learn about how to ride the tires at super low pressure. And I loved it being a little bit less explosive, and that's what the muddy races do. So it's not, you know, it's not to say that Lars van der Haar has any weaknesses. It's just that jumping the barriers is not his #1 skill set, and he's got, you know, that's somewhere. I look at that as somewhere that he can improve, and I know that he's tried and practiced, and he'll continue to try and practice to be able to get there. As we see now, Michael van Torenhout, you can see this nice 180 shot as they come to this washboard. Michael van Torenhout able to get away, and now he's chasing down Illy Easterbit, and behind him it's Corne van Kessel trying to bring him back and lock up that last place on the podium.
Explain for anyone that watches this, because cyclocross tactics in teams, I know we've seen Paushausen trying to ride as a team so far this season, and sometimes it's worked, sometimes it's been an absolute unmitigated disaster for them, but you don't often get riders working as a team, and he's got a little bit of a gap, and now it is pretty much an individual sport, isn't it? It's very difficult to work as a team in cyclocross.
Well, Michael van Torenhout played a good teammate. You know, he let Corne van Kessel and Quinten Hermans try to bring that gap back down after each of them, you know, from the Tormans team had their go at it at the front. First, it was Quinten Hermans setting that early tempo. Then Illy Easterbit was sitting in the draft, and then the wheels studying, watching, and then it was Corne van Kessel that picked up where where he left off, Corne van Kessel goes for it. Eli Iserbyt continues to watch, but then that third move was from Eli Iserbyt, and he really laid down the power and really threw down a big attack here. And now it's Michael van Toornhout playing a great teammate, just sitting back and watching. But then when he also realized that the pace was coming down for Corne van Kessel, he decided, I'm going to go. I'm going to attack. And Quinten Herman's the same. He realized that these guys weren't able to close the gaps down. And so now Michael van Toornhout has hit out on his own and is now chasing down Eli Iserbyt in an attempt to try to win this Maldegem Parkcross here on Wednesday in Belgium.
Look, Eli Iserbyt, the rider in the lead, as I said, he's taken one victory so far in 2020. Not to, of course, of this season. He's had 8 victories so far. His victory in Nome, the battle between him and Toon Aert in that was, I was commentating that one, but it was absolutely phenomenal. It was a really good race. Here's Mario de Klerk. Let's have a listen to him. Oh, they haven't sent us the audio on that one. My apologies. Sometimes I say, sometimes they send it, sometimes they don't. But yeah, that Nome race between him and Toon Aert was absolutely brilliant. And now Michael van Toornhout has managed to distance himself from Quinten Hermans, Toon Aert, and that group behind. He's looking good now, Michael van Toornhout.
He does. He looks like he's really nailed this course, and he's got a lot of flow. He's going super fast. You can see that he's punching it out of the turns. He's given a little glance back to just see where the other riders are. A proper crosser always knows to look back to see if he's making damage or if they're taking time back. But Eli Iserbyt's in control of this one, Marty. He's really riding this section that's in the woods, very, very firm underground, very fast ruts that really take you through, as you see one right there on your screen. There's 2 lines through this section that goes around the little bit of water that's left standing on the course. Both riders seem to be taking that inside line. And as you see, actually, I take that back. Michael van Toornhout taking that opposite line. Different styles. Iserbyt, boom, over the barriers. Michael van Toornhout, boom, boom, over the barriers. Definitely sees that it's possible to get Eli Iserbyt back. And like I said, I don't know where this relationship stands. Always playing a good teammate role as Michael van Toornhout has, but he definitely is going to be looking at Eli Iserbyt and saying, like, hey, I really want to take another win this year. You've had your cake. I want to have some too. So he's coming back, trying to get there. Iserbyt's going to be going all in after disappointing world championships for him. He's going to try to take this win here in Maldegem for sure.
Michael van Toornhout, former world under-23 cyclocross champion, successful season, and he was on the podium on the Trek Cup's number 2 race. He won in Vittel in France. He won in Merlebeker, as I said earlier. Some solid podiums in Bern, at Koppenberg, in Diegem, at Kullem, and then 6th in the World Championships last week. This rider here. And can he get himself up to his teammate Eli Iserbyt and manage to take a victory today? Iserbyt attacking this course. He will get the bell when he comes around next time. Thank you, all of you, for your patience with the feed. We really appreciate it, and thanks for putting up with that one. We stuck with it while they sorted that one out. 1 lap to go here at the Parkcross in Maldegem. Eli Iserbyt goes through 55.18. Let's have a look at the time gap back to van Toornhout. It goes through there 9 seconds. That's pushing it, Jeremy, on 1 lap. 9 seconds.
I want to call it 8 seconds. I'm going to give him the benefit. I'm going to call it 8 seconds. He's got an opportunity here, Marty. One small slip on such a fast course like this can really give you that opportunity to come back. And then once he sees it, it's not out of sight, out of mind. As you see, Iserbyt just very technically focused here, trying to make it through that one line. There's only one rut there. You get this big, long shot, this drone shot. You see Michael van Toornhout coming through there, but Iserbyt on this swoopy section with all these off cambers. He comes into this. This is a downhill left hand off camber in the park. Now we'll catch Michael van Toornhout coming up. Only 8 seconds back. He comes in. He sees his opportunity. He's going to hit that line that's going to take him all across, but it's Eli Iserbyt. He's in control. He knows he's got to make it through this turn into this washboard section that lives here at the Parkcross in Maldegem. I believe it's specifically left here for this race. So there is of course the history of this course, and every year they come back to this washboard section. But I think Michael van Toornhout is bringing back some time on Iserbyt, and it's going to be up to Iserbyt to decide if he wants to go all in to try to make this one stick today.
It's a bit from Van Toren. I've got to give a shout out to Tobias Kvast over on the YouTube comments saying Mathieu van der Poel's going to start in a minute. We just saw Michael Van Toren out put his right foot out there. He's given him a 9-lap lead. MVDP, just for all of you that are asking, Mathieu van der Poel, everyone just shortens his name to that. Belgian champion Laurent Sweat goes through it. Elias a bit, as Jeremy always says, bending the tape, pushing the barriers here on this course, goes into that section. I think he's done enough now on this. He's got to have a faultless final lap here, or his teammate will pounce and steal the victory right on this final lap. But Pauel Sausen, bingo, great race here today for them. First and second at the moment. So Isabits at this stage as well, Jeremy. When you're Eli Isabit, sometimes when you're getting pushed like this, especially by your teammate, you've got in the back of your mind, haven't you? You can't make any mistakes, and sometimes that can be when they just start to creep into your riding.
Yeah, he's not making a huge dent, although I do think he's brought back just a slight amount. When I do my own calculation here, I've got my stopwatch running, and I can see that it's very, very close. He's almost at 7 to 8 seconds. As I do it again here, I'm just watching. It's 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds. So he is taking time back, and now you're seeing, oh, it's Toon Aerts trying to come underneath what looks to, I believe that's Corne van Kessel. So now the Telenet Balawaza rider, former European and Belgian champion, Toon Aerts trying to make a stab for the podium, Marty.
He is indeed. The way he just dive-bombed Corne van Kessel on that hot dog turn there, just to get up there, really wrestled his way through towards the front. Get to see all the youngsters out here riding around, watching their heroes go around. Eli Isabit, your leader here on the Parkcross in Maldegem. If you're just getting on board here on GCN Racing, loads more cross to come this week. We are back with the DVV Trophy from Lille on Saturday, and for the Super Prestige from Hoogstraten on Sunday. Jeremy Powers and myself, Marty McDonald, will be with you for both of those. How is this man going to finish off his season? He was the man of the early part of the year. He's had a World Cup already. The World Championships didn't quite go his way. Van Toren out though, kicking on here as they go through this final lap. 59 minutes of racing and counting. You can still hear riders going through the bell. There's Corne van Kessel. He's managed to get himself back in front of Toon Aerts, who fights his way through on the inside of Corne van Kessel. And we've had many a battle this year with Toon Aerts, and I love it. It's a big wrestling match, isn't it, half the time?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. These guys all want to make sure that they get their sponsors up on that podium, whether it's Maldegem or the World Championships. There's always a race. You can see that Eli Isabit has taken a race just about every month. He has went to the big Christmas block, everything. Eli Isabit has been in the mix on the podium, taking wins. We saw recently at that big duel with him and Toon Aerts at the World Cup in Nome. He's shown that he's got form every single month of every single year, which is about as consistent as you can ask for, Marty. I mean, in a day where Mathieu van der Poel takes so many victories, I have to say that Eli Isabit has really exploited those opportunities and taken them seriously and done really well with the moments that he's been given and making them shine. So probably the most victories of any rider outside of Mathieu van der Poel this year, that says a lot considering Van der Poel's dominance.
It is indeed. Toon Aerts has managed to get himself away from Corne van Kessel. Now these two have been locked in a ferocious battle for that next place. He's a bit into the sand. Can't afford any mistakes here. The Pauel Sausen man safely through that section. How is his teammate going to handle that one? Good gap here. This is the final lap. The Parkcross. Van Toren out carries good speed through there in second place. Affords himself a cheeky glance to the right just to see where those chasers are behind through this little roundabout section. You can see just getting carved out as Van Toren out just digs in on that section. Shifts up through the gears. Here comes your winner, Eli Isabit from Pauel Sausen. Bingo, faultless final lap. Hands him the victory in this one. He won in Kruijbeke in the Ethias. Now he wins here, the Parkcross in Maldegem What a great final lap Michael van Torenhout gave us. Corny van Kessel, though, behind, has got himself in front of Toon Aerts, or has he? Aerts fights back. It's going to be a throw to the line. A little wheelie across the line there by Toon Aerts. Lars van der Haar behind him. And then Tom Meeuwsen for the Hens Mass containers. And here comes Quentin Hermans, the man of the early part of the race. Who do you think got that then?
That is a tough one, man. But in a classic Toon Aerts last lap blast, as he has been doing over the last couple of years, man, I don't know who had that one, but I was surprised to see Corny van Kessel make the grab back on, as we see Lawrence Sweck there finishing, and it looks like David van der Poel coming in. Man, Marty, that was a great finish for third place. I can't wait to find out who actually took that one. I'm sure it'll be a slaps on the hands, but definitely a little Dutch-Belgian rivalry going down as well.
Ryan Camp ahead of Jens Adams here in the white. And then comes Dieter van Torenhout, and then Felipe Orts just coming around the corner for you Spanish fans. There's Dieter van Torenhout. Here's Felipe, our Spanish champion. Popular man. Great to see another flag up there in the top flight. I think next year, if Felipe can build on this into next season, can he start cracking that top 5? Here's Jim Arnouts from Telenet Baloise, and then Antoine Benoist, I think that's just coming around the corner. Looks like his feet. It is from Alpecin Fenix in that blue kit. That is a smart looking kit, that one, isn't it? Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look right on the line. There's a little wheelie from Toon Aerts. Look at this. Woohoo!
Oh, you know what I think is crazy? I don't think he hit the line. I wonder what they're going to say about that, because I think he actually wheelied, but I don't think he touched the line, which maybe will give it to Corny van Kessel. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that one, Marty. That's going to need to go back to the big dogs at the UCI to find out exactly how that one plays out. That was that's above my pay grade. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that one.
Everything's above my pay grade. Anton Ferdinand here. Let's hear from Ethias a bit now.
Nee. We wisten wel op voorhand dat het echt een rondje was voor ons, voor ik en Michael. Veel bochten, veel optrekken. De balken waren niet echt heel goed voor mij. Maar toch, ja, ik wist dat de eerste helft heel lastig ging zijn, omdat ik had toch eigenlijk 2 dagen niets gedaan na het WK. Dus ben ik wel content dat ik na halfcross redelijk makkelijk kan wegrijden, ook met de hulp van Michael.
Ja, je rijdt weg. Je had op een bepaald moment een kloof, maar hij komt terug veel dichter. Wist je wel van oké, ik heb hier iets in handen wat ik kan vasthouden?
Ja, ik wist eigenlijk niet zo goed wat er achter mij afspeelde. Je zag op niet veel punten de achtervolgers, dus wilde ik eigenlijk gewoon tempo rijden. En ja, de voorlaatste ronde zie ik dat Mike echt vol rijdt. Maar de rest bleef altijd kort achter hem en dan was het voor mij ook wel zaak om echt tempo heel hoog te houden.
Doet dit nu extra deugd zijn overwinning vlak na een beetje teleurstellend WK?
Ja, een overwinning doet altijd deugd. Ik denk dat er niet veel man kan zeggen dat ze al gewonnen hebben dit jaar. Dus het is mijn 9e overwinning, dus ben ik wel heel blij.
Dan ben je terecht blij. Dankjewel Eli Iserbiet. We kunnen meteen door naar nummer 2 van vandaag. Michael van Torenhout. Hij heeft het zijn ploegmaat vandaag bijzonder lastig gemaakt. Nog even de pet opzetten. Voilà. Michael van Torenhout, het was een fel bevochten strijd. Was de tweede plaats het hoogst haalbare vandaag?
Ja, ik denk dat we het wel goed gespeeld hebben met de ploeg. Ik denk dat er iemand een foutje maakte in de zandbak en zo reed Eli weg. En dan heb ik eerst geprobeerd om er alleen naartoe te rijden, maar Quentin liet niet direct, zat altijd direct terug in het wiel. Dus dan heb ik terug wat ingehouden en dan de laatste 2 ronden heb ik vol doorgezet voor die tweede plaats. En ik denk dat Eli al ver genoeg voor was. En dan heb ik zo wel die tweede plaats kunnen binnenhalen.
Had je nog geloof in dat je de kloof kon dichten op een bepaald moment?
Op een gegeven moment wel. Ik denk dat alleen voorrijden ook niet simpel was. Ik had natuurlijk ook een mikpunt. Dat is altijd wel iets beter. Maar ik zag, ik kwam wel een seconde of 2 dichter, maar dan moest ik mij ook even terug herzetten. En dan wist ik dat Eli de betere was en zo was ik dan wel content met mijn tweede plaats.
Content met je tweede plaats, dat onthouden we. Dankjewel Michael van Torenhout. We kunnen door naar de nummer 3 van vandaag. Dat is naar de nummer 4.
Hey,
Oké, dat is Corné van Kessel, nummer 4. Het was een veel bevochten sprint daar. Corné, vertel eens, wat gebeurde daar?
Ja, we denken dat we allebei op het scherp van de snede de laatste ronde ingereden zijn. En probeer de laatste bocht naar binnen door te komen, dat lukt. En Toon is net iets beter in de sprint, dus jammer in het 4e.
Ja, jammer, want het scheelt amper iets zien we nu op de beelden.
Ja, ik zie nou de beelden zelf ook terug en ja, het is niks, hè, maar we zijn vierde.
Al bij al daar tevreden mee?
Ja, met het gevoel van vandaag ben ik wel tevreden. Na zondag toch een zware wedstrijd gereden te hebben, is het altijd afwachten hoe dat je hier aan de start staat en ik mag niet klagen.
Goed, dankjewel Corné van Kessel. Dan gaan we door naar nummer 3 van vandaag. Nummer 3, maar het was misschien wel de nipste derde plaats die je ooit gehaald hebt, Toonaerts.
Ja, het was wel nipt inderdaad. Ik had volgereden na de balken en probeerde daar verschil te maken. Maar dan moest ik nog wel goed door het zand rijden en dat mislukte een klein beetje. Het was dan wel Corné die in het zand wel goed doorkwam. Het gat kwam dicht en dan was het nog even sprinten hier op de klinker.
Ja, sprinten op de klinkers, vooral omdat ik zag, je was echt nog verbeten om dat podium te halen. Hè?
Ja, toch wel. In het begin van de koers kwam ik er echt niet door. Gisteren nog een vrij vermoeiende dag had en zelfs niet op de fiets kunnen zitten. Dat is niet van mijn gewoonte, een dag van de fiets blijven. En dat liet zich wel gevoelen in het begin van de wedstrijd. Uiteindelijk valt iedereen wel een klein beetje op zijn plaats en kon ik toch meestrijden voor het podium, maar het was toch een uurtje afzien.
Goed, dankjewel en nogmaals proficiat Toonaerts.
Ja, kom even bij.
That looks like our third place. What a sprint! He reminds me in that sprint there, Jeremy. Of I don't know if you watch the track, but Aziza Wang, who's the Malaysian sprinter, whenever he crosses the line in the Keirin, he always wheelies across the line.
I'm not familiar with that, but Don like so hard, and then you're throwing your bike at the end with that huge toss. Just kind of picks the front wheel up, and then you obviously you saw what you saw. So hey, he won, so it worked.
Definitely great sprint. Okay, again, a big thanks to all of you for bearing with us on the stream there. Apologies, I hope it didn't spoil your viewing too much. Super Sid got it sorted before the end, so thank you all of you for your patience. Much appreciated on that one. Let's have a look back at what was a great men's race, and right from the off on the line. It was that man, Quentin Hermans, that set his stall out early, wasn't it? Toonaerts didn't quite get the start that he would have wanted. Quentin Hermans, Corné van Kessel, Van der Haar, Sweek, Van Turnhout. Ethias a bit at that point, Jeremy, he didn't get off to a great start, but he managed to move himself up quite quickly.
Yeah, super fast course today here. It was Quentin Hermans that took the lead early on. We see David van der Poel was in there. We saw the Belgian champion, Laurens Sweek. A lot of hitters were up in the front, but all of a sudden it was 3, and that was Quentin Hermans, Ethias a bit, Michael van Turnhout, and then Corné van Kessel, Quentin Hermans' teammate, making it up to the front as they carve up this super fast and really made for a unique course and a unique day of racing only 72 hours after the World Championships.
It was indeed, and you can see just the size of that group on lap 4 of 10. A lot of riders still very much in contention, but Ethias a bit taking off alone. And from this point, it was his second victory since the turn of the year. As the race progressed over the final laps, it would be his teammate, though, Michael van Turnhout, that would push him close. On lap 9 of 10, there was Van Turnhout, who managed to shake himself off from the stranglehold of the Tormans riders behind and Toonaerts and get clear. Ethias a bit, though, the final lap made no mistakes, an almost faultless final lap as his teammate behind was looking good in second. It was all about this man, though. Ethias a bit on the day. He starts the final month of the cyclocross season on great form. His teammate behind rode in for second place, but there came the sprint for third. Corné van Kessel getting the inside line. Toonaerts coming right through, and with that throw to the line, takes that third spot. And as he always says, I'm sure my dad always told me, Jeremy, sprint through the line, sprint through the line.
You got to sprint through the line, man. He had a heck of a ride to be able to kind of go back and forth with Toonaerts, and Toonaerts doing that classic last lap blaster that he's so famous for now, able to really come back to Corné van Kessel, and then Corné van Kessel coming underneath him in that last turn to try to take the third place, that last spot in the podium, to put the Thormans team on the map for the day. Unable to, but at least he got that interview. He was able to get the interview at the end, get those sponsors on television. That's good.
He did indeed. It was a good race for the Tormans team. Okay, as we always say, we take questions from the forums throughout racing, and I caught one earlier on, so we tend to take these ones at the end. So if you ever got some questions, throw them in, and I'll put them to Jeremy at the end. You've got Jeremy Powers here. So why not ask him some questions? Jeremy, as we're getting towards the back end of the cross season, Frankie, who's 15, was just asking you for some tips on what he can do to become a better cyclocross rider, or how to really get started. So viewers that are watching that think, oh, fancy a go at this, some top tips apart from watching all your GCN content.
Yeah, well, probably the easiest thing that you can do is take a pair of mountain bike pedals, put them on your road bike, or if you have a cyclocross bike, but get on and off the bike a bunch of times. That will help you be able to get in and out of the pedals very quickly. And then you want to make sure that you get good at picking the bike up, getting it far away from you, and running over some planks and getting back on. And then you want to practice your explosivity. So it's get off the bike, good, get back on the bike, and then punch it out and get back up to speed. That's truly what cyclocross is made on top of. You have to be able to go and do these speed changes. You have to get fluid and have it be second nature, meaning like it doesn't even feel like you're doing these motions. And that's going to have you have a lot of success out on the cross course and have that fluidity and that ease of doing the actual parts of cyclocross that make it different than the other parts of cycling and the other disciplines.
And also, as a cyclocross rider, I'm sure you will agree, if you're 15, ride everything. So if you've got a BMX, get out there and jump around on your BMX. If you've got a road bike, go and race the road, ride your local crits. If you've got access to a track, ride the track, ride your mountain bike. It makes you a much more sort of multifaceted rider, doesn't it? Rather than, I know we're enjoying such a boom in cross that young riders as well, just keeping their kind of disciplines open a little bit. That can also make you a better cross rider as well, can't it?
Absolutely. I mean, look, for my first cross races when I was 15, I was riding my road bike with teeny little 28 millimeter knobby tires on them. I also raced my mountain bike with tiny 1.5 tires on them. This was when we had 26-inch wheels. So I would tell you, there's nothing to say that you can't get out there and have fun on any bike at a cross race, especially at a non-UCI level race. You can go out there and line up with any bike that you want. You can modify it by changing the tires and go out there and have success and have fun and get your taste of it. If you like it, then consider upgrading to a cyclocross bike. But there's nothing stopping you from going out there and giving it a whirl and seeing if you like it.
Buzzword, have fun, get out there and play. Okay, let's have a look back throughout our coverage today. If you don't want to know what happened in the elite women's race, then you might want to press mute and just look away for now if you want to go back and watch the elite women's race a little bit later on. So 3, 2, 1. Anne-Marie Worst leading off from the start. Laura Verdonschot alongside her, Katie Compton, Marianne Norbert, Riberola, Yara Castelline, Ellen Van Looy, Shirin Van Anrooy, and Inga van der Heijden. It would be Inga van der Heijden that would get the whole shot through that first corner. Anne-Marie Worst from 777 taking to the front. And a good, strong leading group forming. This was the first attack from Worst on lap 1. It was Shirin Van Anrooy, the new junior world champion, that closed the gap down with Yara Castelline right behind her, and Inga van der Heijden looking to put her own disappointment from the world championships behind her. Worst was looking great at the front, silver medalist in the World Championships at the weekend. Ellen Van Looy, a solid top 10. A crash involving Shirin Van Anrooy and Yara Castelline. Neither rider able to continue. Castelline being taken to hospital, and I'll update you as soon as we can on the condition of Yara Castelline. Shirin Van Anrooy heading round to the pits and retiring from the race. Going into lap 4 of 6, Denise Betzemer had made it up to the front group. Katie Compton, the American, was gradually clawing the gap back with Laura Verdonschot right behind her into the washboard and the rhythm section. Worst was kicking on at the front with Van der Heijden right behind her. A mistake by Betzemer in the sand had distanced her and Van Looy from that leading group. Anne-Marie Worst, arguably the rider of the season so far. She has been phenomenal from the start, and she crossed the line to take another victory for Team 777. Inge van der Heijden rounding the corner to come home for a strong second place for Team CCC Live. And Denise Betsema of Pauwelsausen Bingo just managing to distance Ellen van Looy at the finish to take the third spot on the podium, while Katie Compton was sprinting it out with Van Looy for that fourth place. In the elite men, Quentin Hermans lining up alongside Elias a bit, Tone Arts, Corny van Kessel, Lars van der Haar, Michael van Torenhout, and Felipe Orts, also all getting front row starts. David van der Poel of Alpecin Phoenix was following Quentin Hermans on the opening lap. The Tormans cycle team riders in contention at this point, with a fairly sizable group that also contained Tom Meyerson and Felipe Orts, Jens Adams and Dieter van Torenhout. Elias a bit attacking on lap 7 of 10. He was clear, and with a couple of laps to go, his nearest competition would come from his teammate Michael van Torenhout, who was in the region of 8 or 9 seconds behind this man. A great start to his elite cyclo-cross career, already a winner in 2020 in the World Cup in Nome. He's looking to add another victory in the Ethias series to his name. He had won in Kruijbeke on the final lap. Van Torenhout was pushing him, but he wouldn't get close enough. And it would be another well-deserved victory to Elisabeth of Pauwelsausen Bingo. Michael van Torenhout could comfortably ride in for second place, but out of the final corner, there was a huge battle going on between Corny van Kessel and Tone Arts. They threw their bikes to the line, and the verdict going to Tone Arts. A great day's racing we have had. Elisabeth's got to be super happy with that one, going into this final month of the season, and another well-deserved morale-boosting victory.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, to be able to take another victory in another month in the cyclocross season, February this time, I think he's going to be pretty happy. He's got a great record. And like I said, I think without any arguments, I think that he has taken the most victories out of the season outside of Mathieu van der Poel that he's at. You know, I said that before, but with so much dominance coming from Van der Poel, to have eked out so many wins over a course of, over a time period when there aren't a lot of wins to be had with so much dominance. I mean, Van der Poel only really lost one race, I believe, at Toon Aert. So they're hard to come by in a time where he's got such good form. So it's definitely hats off to Iserbit for being able to bring it, you know, at the races, know when to pick his spots, and to have such a consistent season with a lot of victories. It's a nice thing to say at this time.
It is indeed. Thanks all of you for your company today. Thanks for bearing with us on the stream. Great to see so many of you interacting on the chat. Jeremy and I will be back on Saturday. Don't forget, subscribe to GCN Racing. Give us a thumbs up on our live broadcast. Hit that bell icon. We'll see you on Saturday. Have a great day. Bye for now.